life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle, with Belle, with Belle. On YouTube starting very soon, so stay tuned. Belle is getting ready for you. Quilting, teaching, sewing, making lovely things. Come on and join us. It's almost time for Thread Life with Belle. Yeah, I said the live show is starting soon, so keep your YouTubes tuned to Thread Life with Belle. Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life, Thread Life with Belle, starting soon.
Hi friends, welcome to Thread Life with Belle, to Stitchin Saturday. So Stitchin Saturday happens some Saturdays, not every Saturday, and this is actually one of them. And it's usually in the afternoon. Today I'm starting just a little bit early today, but normally it's in the afternoon if I do Stitchin Saturday. And what that's all about is grab your works in progress, your UFOs, and stitch with me. So that's what I'm doing today. Now, when I say UFOs, they're really not UFOs. I'm actually preparing for H&H Americas, which is a trade show in Chicago, and I'm leaving early next week, and so I'm on crunch time to try to get some things ready for that. And part of that is putting together more Friendship Blooms blocks. Hey, Brenda, welcome back. I'm glad you're with me again. Brenda was with me last night too when I did a Quilt Folk edition on a live to kind of explain what Quilt Folk was all about. So today I'm preparing for H&H Americas, and that is I'm making more Friendship Blooms blocks, and I'm using really, really fun fabrics. They are safari fabrics from Benartex. So it's all these cute little safari animals, and I'm making a friend a baby quilt. So she's expecting in July, and I'm killing two birds with one stone. So at H&H Americas, it's a trade show in Chicago, a quilting trade show. It's not open to the public, it's just business to business. And hey, Kendra, glad you're here from California. So I am getting these Friendship Blooms blocks ready. I'm making 4 of them. So they're 4 large 18-inch blocks, and I'm taking them with me to the trade show because I'm doing demos on how to do the applique flower. So that's the flower that is appliqued on top of the pieced Friendship Blooms block. So that is what I'm working on. That is my work in progress. So grab yours if you're in your studio, and we'll just stitch together for a few hours while I'm getting ready to kind of get everything ready for the show. So I'm doing an English paper piecing demo there, and I'm also doing a demo in the ThermoWeb booth using the Heat and Bond ThermoWeb Fusible, which is what I use for my Friendship Blooms block. So y'all might be familiar with that pattern. That is what I'm working on, and you're welcome to hang out with me today while I do that. But I want to show you something fun. So many of you know my Quilty BFF Mod, the retro quilter. We don't get to see each other except usually at these trade shows, with the exception of she flew down about 1.5 years ago to help me unload and unpack and set up this studio. She's in Canada, and we haven't seen each other since September of 2023, and I get to see her. So she recently sent me this box of like gifts and stuff, which consisted of a chandelier, which will be hanging in the studio once my long arm gets here next month. It's going to kind of be over in that area. Well, what we do is we kind of collect gifts from each other, like throughout the months, and then when we see each other in person, we usually bring them. Now, she couldn't bring the chandelier, so she ended up shipping my stuff. But I want to show you some of the things that I actually have got together for her. Now, she's probably not going to watch this because she's busy getting ready when packing and all that stuff. So I'm gonna take the chance she's not gonna see this ahead of time. And I'm gonna show you all the fun retro stuff that I'm gonna send her. And I also realized my mic is not underneath my shirt, so I'm gonna change that really quick when I do the overhead and show that to you guys. So normally I have this underneath my shirt. So let me just make that adjustment because sometimes I accidentally will get tangled up in it. All right, there we go. Now I'm all set. Okay, so let me show you some of the fun stuff. I'll move my camera here. I'm still getting used to this. Okay, get up a little bit closer. Okay, so this is something I made for her, and I really, really enjoyed this pattern. It's like a shell, it's kind of like a seashell. And of course she loves retro. She's all about retro stuff. So I made her this cute little zip pouch and these retro fabrics. And then I'm gonna do a tutorial on this, but this is a chapstick holder for your purse. You know how you're always looking for, at least I am, I have chapstick everywhere. Like I have 4 of them here in my studio. I have them in the house, in the bedroom, everywhere. And I sometimes can't find them when they're in the bottom of my purse. So this actually clips here on your purse somewhere, or your bag or whatever, so you don't lose it. So I've actually made her one of those. So that was super fun. So she's gonna get that. Now, the other thing is she loves Golden Girls, and I used to watch it too, back in the 90s. And so anytime there's something Golden Girls we find, usually we'll send that to each other. I have a sticker that says keep it golden. So this was a really fun pouch that I found. And so it's got all Rose, Blanche, Dorothy, Sophia. So this is a zip pouch I'm gonna give her. And then, of course, we love our morning coffee. This is the Shady Pines coffee mug. Isn't that fun? It's the Golden Girls Shady Pines retirement home coffee mug. So she's gonna get that too. And then she literally lives and breathes retro. I mean, she wears it. Her house is decorated that way. I found this Better Homes and Gardens patchwork quilting. This is retro. This is from 1977. I mean, even the pages are brown. Look at that. I found it at our thrift store here in town for 50 cents. So I'm bringing this to her. Isn't that fun? Look at all this retro stuff in here. And it's got the patterns and everything, which is a lot different than how we do it now. But look at this one. Isn't that fun? These are appliqued all on top of one another. It's a contemporary grandmother's flower garden quilt. I've never seen one like this before. Those are just appliqued on top of each other. That would be a fun one to try. But yeah, there's some fun stuff in here. And it smells musty. It definitely does. There is also, I think, a puff quilt in here too somewhere, if I remember. But anyway, I got her that. And these are retro bell bottoms. Look at this print. So if you go check out Maud, my quilt bestie, the retro quilter, she wears all this stuff. So these are bell bottoms. Isn't that fun? Yeah, so she's gonna get those. And then lastly, I found her some fun retro fabric. And they're bigger than 10, they're fat quarter size. But look at all of those fun prints. So it's a surprise for her. I'm flying with all of this. I think she'll love it all. This is more of this is a little bit more of a canvas feel to it. So it's got some strength, but all those fun retro fabrics there. So anyway, that is the loot I'm taking to her in Chicago. So anyway, I've got to get all this stuff packed and ready to go, but I wanted to share that with you before we got started. And then I'm going to start working on my Friendship Blooms block. So I've got some of the pieces done. Looks like the mail woman is here. So Quilt Husband's gonna go take care of that. That happens sometimes. Okay, so let me show you what I'm using. So these are the fabrics here. Brenda, aren't the bell bottoms fun? They actually might be a little too big for her. Yeah, because she's been exercising too, like me. We've both been doing weights classes and she's lost some weight and she's like really, shrunk. So she may have to do some alterations on those shorts for sure. She may have to do that. Okay, so here's what I'm doing. So this is the pattern. For those of you maybe that are new joining me, this is my Friendship Blooms pattern here. You can see the blocks. And I'm actually doing the baby size. And so this is, I'm killing two birds with one stone. So it's this one here. So it's 4 blocks. They're sashing. What I'm going to get ready are the individual blocks without the applique flower on top. I'm not going to applique them. I'm just going to get them all sewed and ready. And I'm going to take all those supplies with me for the demo in the Thermo Web booth to actually show people kind of the process with this, the quilt shop owners, the process with it. And then they go around and really look at like new patterns and new notions and things that they want to add to their quilt shops. That's really what this is about, is seeing kind of the new stuff that's out there and then getting those from their distributors and then putting them in their quilt shop. So anyway, this is what I've decided to use these prints. This is the template that you download, and it comes with the pattern, and then there is the center flower for the Friendship Blooms. So these are the prints I'm going to use, well, at least choose from. I only need 4 of these, so I'll kind of have to look and see. Well, no, I did put 4 here. I put 4. Look at the little monkey and the sloth. I absolutely love sloths. I got to hold one in Roatan, Honduras. I think it was, we went in 2019. And it was a lot of fun to do that. So anyway, those are what I'm going to use. This was a layer cake. So I'm actually using a layer cake for this one, and they're the perfect size to be able to do this. Normally this is a 9.5 inch. If you were cutting this from yardage, it would be 9.5 inches. So layer cake is really perfect. And I've just kind of cut them up the way I needed according to the pattern, and going to be ready to go. And then for the centers of those, I decided to use all the same one. I'm going to use these pretty little stars that go with this whole collection. So this is a safari collection. This is from Benartex, and crazy enough, I actually won this layer cake at my retreat that our guild puts on this last fall. And I was thinking, oh, what am I going to do with that? Well, sure enough, a friend's having a baby, and I showed her the fabric. She's like, oh, I love that. They're having a little girl. But she's like, you know what? I don't necessarily want pink. Like, just use whatever colors, and we'll just see, you know, just let her like what she likes and not like be pushing her to like pink. So needless to say, this is what I'm using. And then I've already got the corner units done. I worked on those last night after my live. So I've got the corner units ready, some of the flying geese ready. Now with this pattern, we don't make the flying geese the traditional way. I use the stitch and flip method, which I really like. It's a lot easier for beginners. And so right now I need to pick up from there and start working on the other part of, there's 2 flying geese that go together and they're turned around, and then these 2 units will go together. And then we can actually assemble the blocks, and then I'll work on the flowers. So that is what I'm going to be doing today. Tell me, what are you working on? Brenda, Kendra, are you guys in your studio today working on anything and just hanging out and listening? Let me know what you're working on. It is beautiful and sunny here today. It's a beautiful spring day. There's no humidity. It's really nice. Quilt Husband is actually going to be leaving me here to my vices with all of this equipment, and he's going to be putting together raised beds for our tomato plants, because I am behind and trying to get everything ready for the trade show. So he's going to do that without me. Isn't that sweet? Do you guys have a garden? Do you have anything planted? Okay, well, let's get started. I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and start working on these. Well, actually, I've got to mark them first. So I still have to reference my patterns when I sew. Do y'all? Well, when you write your own patterns, I just don't have them memorized, so I still have to go through and do all the things and look at everything. So right now, I've got to go through and make the triangle marks on the back of these. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I like this Sew Line pen. It actually has pink, white, and then the regular pencil color. So one of the things that you do with this pattern is you mark, when you're making your flying geese, you do a diagonal line on the back, and then that'll be ready to go when we sew those, the stitch and flip method for this. So that is actually what I am doing right now. Brenda, you're cleaning house? Oh, well that's awesome. So you're just like carrying me around with you? You know, when I clean house, I usually have something on YouTube as well. Sometimes I'll have an audio book on. We downsized. We were in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house when we were in Missouri, and we downsized where we moved. Now we're in it's like a partial underground home, and it's 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and we got rid of a lot of stuff. And let me tell you, we can clean the house now when we do it together in 2 hours, and we usually do it together to bust it out. And before, with the other house, it would take us together like 5 hours to do. So your iPad. Sorry, the weather's yucky. Remind me where you're at, Brenda. For those of you new here that are hanging out, this is, I believe, is my 9th live. I would love if you would subscribe. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video today, and then hit the notification bell. I'm actually trying to grow this channel. I've had it for about 3 years, but I just started last month, April 1st, doing lives. And you know, I'm out here in my studio a lot by myself. I was like, this would be a fun way to be together, you know, right? Just hang out, because so much of us are by ourselves stitching. So on Saturdays, when I do a Stitchin Saturday, it's really not about teaching anything. Because this tutorial to make this block, you have to have the pattern for all the requirements, but it's all on my channel. So this is like a repeat. I'm just making more. I think this is let's see. I've made several totes out of this block, and I've made 2 quilts out of this pattern in 2 different sizes. So this, I guess, will be my 3rd. You're in Michigan. It's not snowing. Well, I'm glad it's not snowing there. So does it snow in Michigan sometimes in May? We're past that. So once we're past usually the 3rd week of April in Arkansas, there's no threat of a frost. You can get away with it sometimes the middle of April, but to be safe, I waited until last week. We went and we got compost, and we filled the raised bed for my flowers. I have been growing seeds inside since February, and not all of them did well, but I think enough of them. We've had quite a bit of rain the last week, so I know the ground is really moisturized, so I think that will be a good thing. And then we've got our tomato plants and our peppers that we've got to try to plant before I leave early Tuesday morning. I've got a group coming in for a retreat here at my retreat center, and they get it here Wednesday, so I have to get everything ready before I fly out. So after I go to my weights class Monday morning, I'll head on over. The retreat center is just about 10 miles down the road, and I'll get all the welcome bags ready and the swag for them and get the studio kind of situated, and they'll be ready when they arrive. There's 6 of them, and they're all coming down they said it was a Mother's Day kind of treat to themselves. So they'll be there through Saturday, and then they'll go back home on, Saturday afternoon. They're coming from Texas. We get a lot of people at the retreat center from nearby states. And then also it's an Airbnb too, whenever it's not used as a quilting retreat center. So a lot of people from Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, lots and lots from Texas. You had a hard frost a few nights ago. Okay, so you don't plant till the end of May. All right, okay. Well, you see you have a shorter summer there, huh? We basically have all 4 seasons here in Arkansas. My grandfather drove all over the country back in the 60s, the middle 60s, to try to find a place to settle down. He's from Ohio, or was from Ohio, Cleveland. And this was the one area where he found that we had really, truly all 4 seasons for basically pretty much the full 3 months. You have all 4 seasons, which is really nice, give or take, 2 weeks. And so that's one of the reasons he picked living here, just because of that very reason. And it's nice. I know some places it's either just like hot summer, or it might just be kind of like Texas. They don't really have much of a winter, although I think they did have some crazy weather this last year. All right, I'm gonna head on over to the machine, and we are going to stitch these flying geese using the stitch and flip method. And for these, I have to actually remember to separate out the colors, because there's kind of a little bit, this is actually, I'm deviating a little bit from my own pattern, just so that I can, normally all of these would be like one color, but I wanted to kind of make this block pretty scrappy and also utilize all of these different prints in here. So let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got to remember how many go where. And actually, I had to end up doubling up on this particular print here. I'm gonna have to use that more than once. So this will be a scrappy version. So now I'm gonna figure out what colors I want to go with what. That will be really, really important. So I think I will do these colors. Let's see how many I've got here. I've got 4, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4. Five, 6, 7, 8. All right. Okay. Can y'all see my colors over here on the back screen? That's what I'm auditioning here. Okay, I'll have to move these over so we can see here. I'm trying to figure out what colors I think are going to go best with what sets, because I don't want to lose some of the colors in here if I get them too close together. So it really involves thinking about this with this pattern. Sometimes if you're going to do scrappy, the contrast is really, really important. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are going to need to go there. And let's see, I think we'll do those there. And I think we're going to have to do these right here. What do y'all think? I know that looks pretty similar. That's pretty close, but these would be worse to put those there, I think. So I think I'll do that one. We'll do these here. All right. I'm going to put all these over to the side so I can keep this situated. All right, so these are going to be on the diagonal. So with the stitch and flip, you basically line this up here. And this is going to go this direction. And you're just going to stitch on the diagonal line. And I'm going to do 4 of these. And I really like to chain piece. I feel like it saves time because then I don't have to like cut my thread. It also saves thread because you're not having to cut and then you waste any. Make sure I get them turned the right way. So H&H Americas It's basically like if you've ever heard of Quilt Market, which is in Houston, it's always a few days before International Quilt Festival. So basically those are back to back. The vendors stay from market, they stay for the festival. And I taught my cathedral window class there 2 years ago, and it was a lot of fun. Well, Quilt Market is, what do I not have? Yeah, I've got it. What did I do with that? I'm gonna have to check and see if I've got more of these here. Quilt Market is basically a trade show that's open to the public, or not open to the public, sorry. It's basically fabric shop to fabric shop, vendor to vendor kind of thing, business to business. So what happens is we get to see all of the different things that are coming out to market, and it's kind of fun to be able to do that. So I'm actually going to be meeting with a lot of my agents, a lot of my partner companies that I work with. So Arrow Sewing will be there, and Aliso will be there, and my friends from Checker and Brewer, some of the distributors, Moda, that carry my stuff, so I like to always stop and visit with them. There's lectures and there's demos, which is nice. So I'm going Tuesday. My plane lands around noon. And then there is oh, look at that, y'all. How many times have you sewn and your needle is come unthreaded and you actually weren't sewing the whole time? Let's see how much bobbin thread I've got left too. Oh, I've got plenty. Anyway, so the plane lands around, I think, 12:30, and then we get settled. I have to take my Friendship Blooms quilt over to the ThermoWeb booth, and my tote bag also, to have everything there for the demo. So I'm doing a demo there Wednesday for about 45 minutes, and then I'm doing one on Thursday. And then I'll be at the Craft Industry Alliance booth, which is basically a nonprofit membership for small quilty businesses that you can belong to. And I'm gonna do an English paper piecing demo. I'll also have my copy of the Quilt Folk Arkansas edition that I was featured in. I'll have that there for people to see. I'll have some of my alphabet clips there. So that way shops can see, you know, if they want to carry some of those notions. I'll have Friendship Blooms. Some of my other patterns will be there to meet some new fabric shops and see if they're interested in carrying my patterns. So it's networking, which is nice. And this is my 3rd year to go. Some nesting on the back of that one. I'm gonna have to unpick that one. Look at that. That one's not gonna fly. Something's going on with my bobbin. Let me clean that out. I'll get my little brush. I have this little brush here, and I'll just kind of put it in there and clean that out. We'll see what's going on. Looks like I'm gonna have to unpick. Anyway, it's a great place to network. I get to see some of my quilty friends that have businesses too, and we get to meet up for business dinners and all of that fun stuff, so that'll be good. Okay, I'm gonna have to unpick. I absolutely love this machine, but I will say, anytime I've ever sewn on any computerized machine, I have a little travel Janome that I use, and it is computerized also, but it's really, really simple. I sometimes will have little goofy things like this happen, but when I sew on my semi-industrial Juki straight stitch, it's all metal, only does a straight stitch, there's no electronics or anything in there, I never have anything like this ever happen. How about y'all? Do any of you have a Juki or a straight stitch. I know I don't really have, sometimes I'll have a little bit of trouble with my featherweight, but not a lot with just the simple. Sometimes simple's better. But I do love this machine because it does a lot of decorative stitches, and it's got the dual feed, and which actually I need to engage. I keep forgetting to engage the dual feed because I'm not used to having one. I think Brenda's the one that keeps reminding me about that. So you just flop that down there in the back, and there you go. Okay, let's see what was going on with that. Anyway, H&H Americas, that's the spring trade show. And then in the fall is Quilt Market. And that's actually when my fabric with Benartex, my first collection, releases, then at that one. So Quilt Husband's actually going with me. I think he's gonna do quite a bit of video coverage, and we'll probably do a live from there. Nope. Not happy. Not happy. Another rethread it. See what's going on here. When you sew on your Juki 210, it unthreads a lot. Yeah, I just engaged the dual feed, Brenda, and it's like clunking. I'm still getting used to this machine. I tell you, I've only sewn on my Juki TL literally since 2020. Like, well, I started with the 1967 Janome New Home is what I started on. And then I got what is now my travel Janome. It's a 4120 QDC, just a little basic one, but it is computerized. But then I got what I call my big girl machine in 2021, and that is my Juki TL. Well, it's a PE, it's the Platinum Edition. And all that means, it's the same as the 2010, it's just that it's silver and it came with quilting feet, like an extra box of quilting feet. That's the only difference. Anyway, I really don't even hardly have the unthreading thing go on. But sometimes I have just the clumping on the back of here, and I'm not quite sure why that's going on, but let's see what's going on with the dual feed. Oh. It says it's on. Yeah, it's clanking. That seems like that's a little bit too loud to me. I don't think it's supposed to be that loud. Could you hear that, Brenda? Well, the stitch is fine now, but yeah, I don't know. I may have to get out my direction manual, and I'm not in the mood to do that today, so I'm gonna disengage it. I mean, the feet still keep it plenty engaged. Like, I don't have a problem with that at all. But I did just cut my thread. I should have left it alone for the chain piecing. I'm still kind of getting used to with the Stitchin Saturdays, I'll be honest. Talking and stitching sometimes, I make more mistakes. And I think it's because for so long, I'm in my studio by myself not talking, that this is a little bit of an adjustment for me on the lives to be talking and sewing at the same time. I think it'll just take my brain a little bit to get used to that. So one of the lives that I'm gonna do when I get back from H&H Americas, I think it's gonna be probably Monday, the Monday after I get back. So it'll be a week from this coming Monday. I'm gonna do a milk glass pincushion tutorial. I did one a long time ago, and it's kind of one of the popular videos. And you basically get vintage milk glass. It's a special candy dish. And you're able to, well, I'll show you basically the dish. Here's the dish. whoops, sorry about that, I just bumped the camera. So it's one of these dishes. They're very special. When I find them at flea markets, I always get them, especially if they're less than $10. But they hold all your tools, which is nice. And then I use the center of this one for my clips. And then I actually have this really cute pear pincushion that I use. So what you can do though is you can turn the center section into a pincushion. And I'm gonna do a live tutorial on how to do that with pantyhose, with crushed walnut shells, and with one of these. And you actually can do them in other things besides just this. So I'm gonna do that when I get back. So if you guys are interested in making a fun pincushion, whether it's out of the milk glass or you can use the same technique to, you know, use other things and make it, then you might wanna come back and hang out for that tutorial. Anybody got big plans this summer? We don't have tons of plans, partially because my fabric, for my fabric collection, the sample fabric will be here anytime, probably starting in June. And I have to start making samples of things using the fabric to take to Quilt Market for the booth to really kind of highlight the fabric. So I knew this summer I will probably be sewing quite a bit to do that. So the only thing we have planned, we are going to Florida for a little vacation. It's actually kind of a two-part thing. I have work there with my other business. I do consulting with nonprofits, so I'll be there in Destin and then on down to Panama City. And Panama City, my husband's gonna fly down and meet me down there when I'm done with work, and we're gonna stay for 4 days and have a little vacation there on the beach. And then other than that, I don't plan on going anywhere until October for Quilt Market. So we did plan on going camping. But y'all, I tell you what, we were supposed to have gone this month and it ended up raining. Well, it was supposed to rain and it ended up being like really, really windy, and it only ended up raining one of the days. We still would have had to come back early, but needless to say, we did not get to go. And all of the campsites are literally booked up all summer long around here, because if you know anything about Arkansas, we live where there's tons of lakes and rivers and lots of campgrounds. And what we tent camp, but we kind of glamp, where we use cots and memory foam mattresses. And my husband has an air conditioner he rigged for the tents. And so we kind of glamp. And when we do that, we can't get a spot without some shade, just because it gets so kind of hot here in the summer. So it's really difficult to camp in the middle of summer here if there's not a shady spot. Well, all the shady spots go really quickly with the campsite. So anyway, it looks like we're gonna have to probably wait until fall, probably October, which October's my other favorite month. So April, I love, love, love April, because that's when everything here starts blooming and it's very green and it's raining because, well, it rains. April showers bring May flowers, but our flowers actually start sooner. We actually start getting some of our flowers in March, like the daffodils and such. We actually start getting those then. So anyway, looks like we're gonna have to camp in October. All right, so we've got the one side of each of these done. And I think I'm gonna have to go to try to find a couple more of one of these prints. I guess I didn't cut enough for sure on one of those. So I'm gonna take all these over to the cutting station. We're gonna cut off the corners and we'll be ready to come back and put the other ones on. And I need to cut 2 more of those. I was short 2 of those, so we'll see what's going on with that. All right. Do y'all drink a lot of water? I love this. This is from the Fat Quarter Shop. It's called, the brand is Swig. It's not a Stanley. And it's basically, I don't know, I can't really, I'll turn it slightly sideways without spilling it. This is like, it's 2D, like it sticks off. All these quilt squares, actually you can feel them. They're raised off of the container. But I love this thing. I try to drink a lot of it every day. I try to go through 4 of those if I can to get all my water in. So I'm just gonna cut off these. I'm using my Creative Grids ruler here, and I save these. So last night when I was working on them, I save with this pattern. You kind of have a bonus. If you save all of these, you can sew these together for little half square triangles to be able to make like pouches, or you could even probably do a tote, but you'd have to have quite a few of those. But these are fun. So I save all these. They're big enough that I can save them and sew them together and use them for smaller things. So I actually, that is what I did with the tote. If y'all watched me do the, the Baby Lock Sashiko live that I did last week, I believe it was last week, last Monday night, that tote, the front and back panel of the tote was leftover flying geese that I messed up on, but the very bottom strip of the tote, those were all these little half square triangles. And so I say they are, you've got to sew them together, but I do save those. And I don't save my scraps that are really small, but ones like this, it's like if you want to whip up a quick gift, and I don't want to waste, you know, those are already perfectly cut triangles. I don't want to waste those. So I have like bags. I have like, let me show you, here's more. This is from my other one. So when I made my scrappy version of Friendship Blooms, which I showed everybody last night, these are all the triangles from it. And I just put them in a little bag like this and save them. So if I need to make, here's another one. If I need to make like a little pouch or something for somebody, then I've just got all those already cut and can use those to make something kind of fun. I actually have thought about, for all these though, I mean, some of these are kids' prints. Now the polka dots would work for anybody, but the ones that actually have the kid prints on it, I may make out of these a matching book pillow, which if I do, I'll do a live on it, on how to do it. I've made them before for little ones where they can put their favorite book in it, but also it's a pillow, so if they need to take a nap or go to sleep. So I'm actually planning, I think out of these particular scraps, I'm gonna piece together a half square triangle book pillow. It's got a little handle on it. Hey Lisa, for some reason you're not getting notified when I'm going to live. Yeah, so what you do, so for you guys to get notified, you have to click on the little bell. There's like a little bell. Let me pull it up on my phone here to kind of show you how that works. Okay, let me see here. Let me zoom in. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to do this if you can see it. So this is Thread Life with Belle. This is on my phone. When you go to my channel, it probably looks like this right here. All right. You click, let's see. Let me look at one here and see. There's a little bell to get notified for when, so Quilt Husband's down in his office actually monitoring this to help with chat. Quilt Husband, if you can, show people or put in like the area where they need to click for the bell. There's a little bell. I know that on the individual ones, like the individual lives, I believe you can click a bell and it'll say to get notified on there. But Lisa, are you subscribed to the channel? Let me ask you that first. but I know there's a bell to get notified when someone's going live, because I get the notifications for like the news and some health videos, like channels that I follow and things like that. You can click a little bell. Like right now, there's one up here at the very top up here. There's a bell at the top. And when I click that bell, it shows me all of the different stations that I get notified on when they're going live. So you're gonna look for that little bell somewhere on yours to be able to get the notifications, and it'll, you know, it'll tell you that. So anywho, let me zoom back out. So you can get notified. Because see, the thing is that right now, I'm not always exactly 100% on when I'm going live. And partially, hey Susan, good morning. We are, okay, there's someone in the chat put on the desktop. Okay, well, somewhere it'll tell you to do that. Yes, I adjusted my settings last night, hoping I would get notified today. Okay, well, I'll have Quilt Husband, when he kind of can check that out for me. I'll have him put that in here for you guys. But there is a bell, and it says get notified, basically. And then it'll pop up, because I know I get that on mine. I'm sorry I don't have that memorized exactly what that looks like on your phone or on your desktop. But anyway, I don't have an exact set time. I always do these Mondays and Fridays and Saturdays. Those are my days. But sometimes the time may vary a little bit. I'm experimenting with that, whether to do daytime or nighttime. And sometimes it depends on if I've got, with my other business, sometimes I'm doing virtual trainings, and then sometimes I'm out of town. So I apologize. I know I'm really supposed to be consistent so people exactly know when to count on me, but I'm still kind of working through that yet. Okay, there's Quilt Husband. On the desktop, he's put that down there for you. It says on the desktop and app, there's a bell with a subscribe button. You just click on it to subscribe to the channel and get notifications. So I guess apparently when you subscribe, you also get the notifications. Is that, Quilt Husband, what you're saying on that? Because I know a lot of people will pop on, like, and I also always post it on my Facebook and my Instagram. I put it there about an hour. I think today I did it 30 minutes before I go live, just to kind of remind people of when that's happening. So anyway, Lisa, maybe that'll help. See if that, okay. Yeah, Quilt Husband says that's correct. It says when you just subscribe, and when you click to subscribe to the channel, you can get notifications there. So, see what's going on with that. I know you also can go in your settings, and if you want things to like pop up on your phone, like on your home screen here, like right here, and you'll have a little box that'll pop up to say whatever notification you want. I think you can actually set that up in your phone settings. So anyway, all right, so now we are going to press these open. And I like to use my fingers and just kind of gently press that open. So y'all, Lisa's one of my pattern testers. She lives here in Arkansas, and she actually came with some other quilty folks in June of last year to test out my retreat center before I went live with all of it, and really gave some great feedback, which was really nice, of any improvements or anything that I forgot that, you know, would make it a little bit better. So, and she also tests my patterns, and she's a long armor. Lisa, I don't know, you weren't on last night, so I don't know if you watched the recording. I did the live on Quilt Folk magazine, what it was all about and what makes it different than other magazines. And then I just kind of briefly showed them a little bit about the article, the story they did on me. But I'm getting a long arm next month. The company's sending me one. I'm not buying it. They're just really great to work with, and so they're sending it the end of May, like the week no, it was the first week of June, and they're coming the week of the 9th of June. 2 of the ladies are coming to, we're going to set it up together, and they're going to train me on how to use it. So Lisa, I'm sure I'm going to do some lives on Belle and her long arm adventure. I've only used a sit-down long arm, which is different as far as how it works than a long arm that's got the edge-to-edge robotics computerized system. So anyway, that'll be the next thing that happens. That's another reason I'm not really doing a lot this summer, other than us going to Florida, is I'll be learning to use that. So now I can quilt my own quilts, which I'm excited about. Edge to edge anyway. I do some free motion now, and I'll do straight line stitching, but normally all my cover quilts I send off to a friend. Her name's Tia Curtis, and she's in Leavenworth, Kansas, and she does some amazing stuff. Y'all might want to give her a follow on Instagram. It's Tia Curtis Quilts, and she does some beautiful work. So I've been mailing some of mine to her and to do my cover quilts for me. But now I'll be able to do them and actually save some money rather than sending these off. I just hope I don't screw too many up. I've got a couple of tops over here that are just, like one of them is for one of the B&Bs. And it's a Dresden, but it was also an experiment for a future pattern. I'm gonna do a double pointed Dresden pattern. And I've got it over here to practice when they come to long arm it while they're here. So that'll be fun. All right, got almost all these pressed, and then we can actually sew on the other half for the other part of the flying geese. Some extra threads there. So anyway, Lisa, I'll be open to all of your tips for sure. And any of you guys on here that have long arms, please drop all the tips you can into the comment box for me. Okay, there's all those, and I actually need to cut, let's see here. I've got to cut 2 more. I've got some of this left over. Let's see what we've got here. I need 2 more of one particular print. Please tell me I have enough. Yes. Okay, it's this one. Oh, that's fun. Look at the little monkey. I think I'm gonna get the one out and cut that one. Try to fussy it a little bit with the monkey. So like, see, these are scraps here. All of these are like leftovers that I didn't use. So I'll save all this here along with those half square triangles to make probably a book pillow. Maybe I'll make a bib. I don't know, but that was what was left over. So I'm doing all of this except the background fabric with a layer cake. Okay, oh, thanks, Lisa. Thanks I was really shocked, really shocked about the article, like to be featured in there with, I mean, there's been a lot of amazing, talented people in there. I think what they told me was one of the interesting reasons was my story, which is basically all of the things that I've done in a short period of time. And so I think that was, and then the retreat center and all of that, it was, you know, all about being a beginner, but it just kind of all went fast, you know, all these blessings of opportunities, and I'm so grateful. So anyway, I hope that more people will find out about the retreat center, because we would love to have that filled up with bookings even more. And I think I mentioned last night too, but you can rent both houses if needed. So, okay, there's my 2 that I was short on. We'll put those over there. Maggie. Yes, so all of my YouTube lives, as soon as they're over, they're automatically posted. So when you look at my channel, you'll see shorts, videos, lives, and I think maybe a tab that might say community. I can't remember. It's under lives. So all my lives will be there. And then under videos, those are like standalone tutorials. Some of them are tutorials that go along with my patterns. Some of them teach you just how to make, you know, a needle book or whatever. And so those are there. So you'll just want to click under the lives, and those are always there for you to watch afterwards. And I know a lot of people, it's really fun. A lot of people will miss it, and then they'll watch it like later that day or that evening, and they leave me comments and little notes to say, oh, Belle, I watched the recording, and all of that good stuff. So yes, they're always immediately, as soon as I hit end broadcast, then I don't really know how long it takes for it to pop up, but I think it's pretty immediate. So yes, you can watch all of those recordings for sure. Okay, let's see here. Let me make sure I've got everything. Here's the, did I cut enough? 1, 2, 3. There's the fourth one. Kind of have to keep these all separated so that 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the way I'm doing it, y'all, I have deviated slightly from the pattern because I'm using a layered cake. I mean, it's super simple to deviate slightly, but I'm doing that so that I could use all of my layer cake. And of course, sometimes when you deviate, sometimes you need to make up for some pieces. So I'm one short on that one. I have to go cut another one of those. And this one, I need 2 more of those. So, okay, let's go do that. Good thing I had leftover fabric, right? So I need 2 more of that one. And let's go back here. I need 2 more of this one. I always put the extra, I don't know about y'all, but I always usually end up somehow making a mistake. And I end up needing more fabric somewhere. You're being taken out to eat, Maggie. Oh, that's really nice. Who's taking you out to eat? You may have already signed off, I don't know, but that's really sweet. Did any of y'all make sourdough? Did any of y'all do sourdough at all? I got a new sourdough starter a few weeks ago at our local, we have something called Hometown Neighbors group. It's part, see, I just did it. Just cut wrong size right there. A Hometown Neighbors group, and it is part of the home extension office. Do y'all have those where you're at? They have like all kinds of groups, Master Gardener, all of that. Anyway, one of the ladies there, Jerry, she's also a quilter. She gave us her starter. I wasn't really happy with my starter, so I had a starter that I started in 2020 when COVID happened because there was no bread on the shelves. So I was like, well, Megan, your notifications are not working either. Okay, well, Quilt Husband may do some research, and if he's got time, I'll have him just see what's going on with that for you guys. Maybe there's a YouTube tutorial link or something that you can watch on that. All I know is I have hit the little bell for people I follow, and I get the notification. I mean, I don't have it where it's set up to pop up on my phone, like on my screen, but when I'm within YouTube, it's all there in this little feed of all of those. So we'll see what we can figure out. I'll try to have that together for you guys and go over that maybe the next time, unless Quilt Husband. And you've checked your settings, Megan. Okay, well, we'll see if we can find a YouTube tutorial on it, and then I'll try to post in there next time around on how to set up notifications. But like I said, I am doing them on Monday, Friday, and then some Saturdays, which today is basically I call it Stitchin Saturday. That's where you just get your stuff, I get my stuff, and we just kind of hang out and work on our projects together, where I'm not really necessarily teaching anything. We're just kind of hanging out. Okay, what did I say? I need 1 more of those. Geese. Do I have enough? Not of that one. Okay, good. Got it. All right, I had enough to make up for somehow what I didn't cut enough of this last time. It used to work, but it doesn't lately. That's really weird, Megan. That's really weird. Now, keep in mind, today I only posted the thumbnail for this video about 45 minutes before it started because I wasn't sure what time I was going to go live today. Normally on Saturdays, it's in the afternoon. Normally I will never do it on Saturday mornings because I always have something that I always do Saturday mornings, some volunteer stuff. So normally it won't be Saturday mornings, but today I was doing it a little bit early today. Okay, Quilt Husband said, I think notifications for lives function differently than regular videos. Okay. Well, we'll have to look into that, y'all. We'll have to look into it. But again, Mondays, Fridays, and Saturdays, if I do them on Saturdays, usually they would be in the afternoon if I can. But that's kind of a questionable day. If I'm out of town, then there may not be one. So I'm sorry I can't be extremely regular. I have this one friend that does them at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, 5 days a week. Y'all, I'm not even awake sometimes at 7. I usually sleep till like 7:30 or 8. I'm not a morning person at all. My brain just doesn't it would be a disaster if I was out here trying to sew that early in the morning. Now, I will say the only caveat is when I'm going to be flying, if I have to get up early, I think it's like a cortisol rush that happens because of fear of missing a flight. I do pop out of bed usually pretty easily on days that I fly. It's probably psychological, but otherwise I struggle in the morning. So I will never be doing a YouTube live, I say never, at 7 in the morning. Not 7 in the morning my time, but anyway, she has, literally I've watched her, and she has usually 800 to 900 people having their coffee with her at 7 in the morning. Isn't that fun if you were a morning person? Yeah, that's a lot of people to be hanging out with you. So anyway, yeah, I'm more of an afternoon, evening kind of gal. So Quilt Husband said, it seems like you can set the notifications only after the video link is posted with the card. Okay, well, that means that is on me. So ladies, what that means is normally I will post the thumbnail of the live and the topic at least a day before, but today, like I said, I didn't post it till 45 minutes before. So once you see that thumbnail pop up that Belle's gonna be doing a live on Friday or Monday, once I have those scheduled, then you can set the notification. So there we go. Thank you, Quilt Husband, for clarifying that. So the reason y'all didn't get it today was because I wasn't sure what time I was gonna go live today. And I just kind of winged it. So there's the answer on that one, y'all. Sorry. But I'm going to be on for a while. I'm going to be getting all this stuff ready for H&H. So, you know, you can just come and go. I've got to get my EPP kit stuff together, get everything kind of packed up. At the beginning, for those of y'all that missed it, I showed what I was bringing to my Quilty BFF, the retro quilter. I had a bunch of retro gifts for her, and I showed everybody at the beginning of the video. So if you missed it, you can watch the beginning later and see some of the fun stuff that is kind of retro that I am packing for her. I also found, I always struggle with what to wear, especially I've kind of been in this weird phase because I gained quite a bit of weight after my hysterectomy and just a lot of swelling and inflammation and stuff, and I'm slowly starting to lose weight from that whole experience. And it's like some stuff is either too big or it's still too small. So anyway, I found some really cute patchwork tops on eBay about a week and a half ago. And I think those actually are supposed to arrive today, right at the last minute. So I'm gonna try those on. And then I found a really cute cotton rust colored sundress, and I appliqued hexie flowers to it. So I'm taking that, and then I've got a really fun, it's a cheater print it's patchwork, and it looks like someone's kind of hand stitched all the patches together, but it's a cheater print. So I'm taking that. So I really need 4 outfits. So I need something for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Friday, after there's a morning lecture, there's a lecture each morning at 8:30. And then the vendor hall opens at 9. And this is H&H Americas. It's a quilting trade show for those of you just joining me. Anyway, there's business lectures and workshops and stuff. But on the last day, Friday, after it's called the Trends lecture, and they do surveys and go over kind of surveys of, you know, what quilters are buying and what they're loving and they're not loving, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff, as well as trends. And after we go over that, my friend Jane Klaus, she is a TV personality, and she also is on Sewing Machines Plus. We do a lot of lives on Sewing Machines Plus, Blaine Austin. It's like QVC for quilters. If y'all have never watched him and the stuff that you learn or the deals you can get, all of that, it's a lot of fun. And he's actually from Arkansas. He's from Jonesboro, but he's in California now, out there with the shop. And Jane and I are going to go thrifting in Chicago, and oh my goodness, I'm so excited. If y'all know me, I love to do flea markets and thrift stores and Goodwill and all of that, and she's huge on that. She actually will take stuff that she finds and repurpose it and make it into clothes. So she's a lot of fun. And so anyway, after that morning lecture on Friday, she's going to take me to some of the areas that are kind of around where we'll be in Rosemont, and not horribly far from the airport. So I will have until my flight leaves at 8 o'clock Friday night. It's a direct flight home. So my flight doesn't get home till 10:30 Friday night. So and then I have an hour and 45-minute drive from the airport. So I'm not going to get home till after midnight. But anything I get there, she's gonna box up for me and mail it back to me if it's like too much to get in my suitcase. And she has some of the coolest stuff that she's found. I mean, you think about Chicago, there's probably some really cool stuff there. So we're gonna do that. Yeah, I know, Lisa, it is kind of all new with this live stuff. Y'all are so patient. Some of y'all that keep coming back as I'm learning how all of this works, and even Quilt Husband, we've had few kinks to work out with all of this. So I appreciate everybody being so patient about it. Oh, I forgot to do these two. I'd say, maybe another month of this and I'll have it all down. I kind of told everybody all of April was a whole experiment on all of this. I have to tell y'all though, I was re-watching last night's live that I did on Quilt Folk, and I was paying attention to my word whiskers. I've got some work to do. Apparently I say so a lot, like S-O, and actually, and and it drove me crazy. I actually almost had to turn the video off. It was so annoying to me. So if that's annoying to any of you guys and you have hung in there, thank you. I'm gonna try to work on that. One thing that I figured out is that when it's not like if it's not something I'm used to talking about all the time, like if I was doing my cathedral window class, it's very methodical. I've done it over and over and over and over, and I'm used to that. If it's something that I'm kind of winging, so in other words, if with Quilt Folk, I'd never done a live or anything on there at all. Hey, Susan. Oh, great. You're headed to your quilt room. Well, come sew with me. Now that you've done all your chores, the meal prep and the gardening, so everybody can serve themselves. Look at you. You're like, I'm going to get up Saturday morning, do all the things so I can be left alone for 6 hours. There you go. That's the way to do it. Anyway, what I was going to say is when I'm just like, I don't have a script or like a plan that I'm following, I tend to use the word whiskers more. When I am in my whole other element with my other business where I'm wearing, you know, pantsuit and heels and all of that, and I'm presenting in front of nonprofit boards and, you know, rooms of 300 and 400 people, I'm a completely different speaker which is fascinating to watch my two worlds, because I talk about those things all of the time. And it's a very serious topic when we're thinking about some of these teams don't get along. They have communication problems. We're talking about some serious things when it comes to child abuse programs. If I'm working with those types of clients, which I have some nonprofit child advocacy centers I work with, it's very Belle's on business. Belle's in business mode, and the conversation and the language and the tone and all of that is so different. So it was kind of interesting to analyze myself last night. Anyway, I'm going to try to not use the word so, S-O, and actually as much, and try not to say and just pause when I'm thinking. So hang in there with me, y'all, on that. It's very fascinating language, for sure. I was talking to my husband about it today, actually, and he said that he also has word whiskers, he noticed as well. I probably shouldn't be like highlighting it, because now y'all will be paying attention to it, for those of you that it didn't bother, but I'm just being transparent and real. The lives are definitely not perfect. When I pre-record something, I can go through and edit things out, but you're getting to see Belle in all her forms. That's what we say in our household. I love you in all your forms. That means grumpy days, good days, days where I don't have much makeup on. So today was only mascara. You get to see me in all my forms. But you know what? I guess that's what makes this real. If everything looked perfect all the time, I think it would, I don't know, it can make you feel bad if you're seeing people that are perfect. Right? Nobody's perfect. So what did you do for meal prep, Susan, for your family? I'm curious to hear. I'm always curious to hear meal prep. So Quilt Husband, he actually, see, I just did it. So Quilt Husband, and actually, see, I just caught myself, y'all. He cooks a lot more than I do. If I cook, I use the crock pot. I'm a huge crock pot girl. Put it all in, it's done. We can eat on it for 3 days. And then I sometimes will bake. Now, I have not been baking quite as much in the last few months for us, just because I've been trying to lose some weight from after surgery and all. But I did make some bread for us recently, and I'm trying only to do that maybe once a month. And I do make sourdough. I think, Lisa, did I hear you say you had some in the refrigerator? Did you tell me that? I was talking about that, and then I got on a different topic. So let me go back to cooking. I learned to make sourdough during the pandemic when there were no bread on the shelves. And I named my starter Jane Doe. Isn't that a fun name? And she lasted until it was time to move here. And I could not bring her with me. So we left her, we dumped her out, and I hadn't fed her in quite a while either. Just those last few months before we moved here, there was a lot involved, and so there was no baking. There was just lots of slow packing. So anyway, Jane Doe, she got thrown out. So I started a new, see, I just said so again. I started a new starter it was like dry starter, and it just never really bubbled the way that it should have, or like Jane Doe did, my first Jane Doe. Anyway, I went to our hometown neighbors group, which is part of the extension office, where we do sewing, baking, all that kind of fun stuff. And one of the girls there brought her starter for all of us. It was 50 ounces. It was 50 ounces in a little cup. And that was what I made. If y'all saw me post about it on social media, maybe one of my stories, I can't remember. Her starter is so good. It was so happy. So, there I did it again. It is in the refrigerator, and that way it won't grow very fast when I'm not baking it, but I'll pull it out once a month and make sourdough. It turned out really good. It had the best bubbles in it. And you know what's interesting is we don't feel bad when we eat it on occasion like that. We really try to cut out eating as much bread. Quilt husband will get spots on his legs. I don't know what's in it these days, but we've really tried to try not to eat as much of that. But when I make the sourdough, we do fine. He doesn't get spots, so that's the best way I think to go and do it. And I did switch. Something that helped is I switched to weighing my dough, or weighing my flour, weighing my water. I used to go off of like half a cup or whatever it was. I can't remember that it called for. And my friend Jerry that gave me the starter, she's like, honestly, you need to get a scale and really weigh it. And if you do, I think you'll find better results. And you know what? It was. Plus her starter was good. So I now have a new Jane Doe. Jane Doe 2. And I bake mine in a Dutch oven. I put parchment paper in there and bake it in a Dutch oven. So I like that. Okay, let's see here. Let me scroll back up because I missed some of y'all's comments. Alice, you're enjoying the chat. It feels like a friend talking, not a corporate speaker. So you haven't noticed Sewer actually. That makes me feel better because I was mortified last night when I rewatched last night's video of how many times I said so and actually. I was like, oh, I can't believe people stayed on the whole time. But I also am Southern, so I am actually just talking like how I talk here at home. I think it's just because when I'm with my other job, you know, I'm all dressed up and, you know, I do speak differently. I just do. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. Susan, definitely use professional speak yourself. Your husband wants you to talk to him like you speak to your clients because I'm very compassionate. So you speak to your husband using professional speak or not? Susan, what were you saying there on that? I missed what you were saying there. Susan, your meal prep. Salads, soup, dressing, veggies, ready to boil. You're so good. Okay, Megan, I'm glad you didn't notice my little word whiskers either. Yeah, they call them word whiskers. You know, whiskers kind of like prickle and tickle you. Well, good. I'm glad that's not annoying y'all. I'm so glad because I was just like, I went to bed last night going, oh, you've got to try to pause more and not say and all of that. But I think it's the little voice in my head of with the professional speaking I do in my other business of trying to not do those things. And I'm like, why am I doing that now? Well, it's because I'm kind of informal. Quilting is just more relaxed and informal. So I guess that's why that's happening. I don't know. Now it is time, y'all, to piece these blocks together. So I'm going to show you what that looks like as we put these together. So there are 4. So this is the center. Let's do my corners here. These are up at the top. All right. These out of the way here. I have to kind of concentrate. I think I've told some of y'all I have a little bit of dyslexia, so sometimes I get stuff turned around. It's the way you speak is your own dialect, Belle. Okay, Susan, thanks. It is. Y'all are getting Belle in true Southern informal form, that's for sure. So thanks for loving me in all my forms. All right, let's do the green. I think these are going to be really bright, happy blocks. So this is actually for a little girl. And I asked her mom, I said, now, do you have colors? You know, when a lot of people have babies, they're like, this is the color of the room, you know, and you want it all to match and all of that stuff. And she's like, I don't want to put that on her, like that it's got to be, you know, that she's got to like pink or she can't like blue or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to show you a picture of some fabric that I have and tell me what you think. And she's like, I love it. She's actually doing an animal theme. It's like a jungle theme. So this worked out really well. Okay, good. This is going to be contrasting enough, I think. Yeah, I'm looking up here at the screen. Looks like it's going to be contrasting enough. Now, what do we got going on here? Did I decide to use, I did. I decided to use a little bit more contrasting of a color there. All right, where's my other green one? There it is. Ta-da! Here's one. Here's one block. What do y'all think? Let me move this down. I hope eventually my brain remembers which, this little I have a joystick here and I just barely move it and I can move this where y'all can see better. So there we go. So I decided to go with the off-white background so that, excuse me, when I do the flowers in the middle, they pop against a light background. So I decided to do that. So there's one. And let's see, what are we gonna do here? We'll do another one. This is definitely scrappy. I showed last night what it looked like of my scrappy version of Friendship Blooms using blush houndstooth. I'll show it to you real quick if y'all didn't see it last night. So this is the exact same one. This is what I'm working on. This is it here. This is the scrappy version. But let me tell you a little story. I actually loved it when I had it all on my design wall. And then I got on the phone while I was sewing. And sure enough, I got my blocks out of order. So the values are not, the blocks, the placement of the blocks are not the way I originally intended. So you see how you've got on the far, for you guys, the far left, how dark that block is? They were supposed to alternate between like winter, fall blocks and spring, summer blocks. And that's what happened. So now I'm annoyed with it. And I'm like, do I even want to take this to the trunk show? So I'm turning it around so you can see what happened. Look at that. Look at those two dark blocks together on this side over here. And I had already put the sashing on and everything. Was just talking on speakerphone, putting all my sashing together. And I looked at it after this and I'm like, I'm not unpicking all that sashing. I'm just not doing it. So anyway, this one's gonna be mine. I'm still gonna take it on the trunk show, but you know what? I'm gonna tell the story. That's exactly what happened. And there it is. But that quilt is gonna be hanging at Bernina University. Yeah, and I'm sure someone's gonna come along, the quilt police, and go, oh, those blocks should have been placed like this, this, this. Yep, I know, they should have been. But I'm not gonna pick, I wasn't gonna unpick it all. So anyway, Benartex, they had sent me that fabric. And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a scrappy Friendship Blooms, and that's what happened. So I was so aggravated about it. Okay, let's see here. Susan. Darling sweetie thinks I'm more patient, understanding with clients and less so with him. I see. Yeah, you know, sometimes it is true. We can be nicer to strangers than our own family. Yes, that absolutely can happen. It can. We have to be mindful of that, right? Let's do the yellow here. I'll tell y'all something kind of funny. When I traveled to the East Coast, so I've been working as a consultant since 2021, doing what I do. But what I've been doing for 11 years now. But I used to work for a company doing it, and now I work for myself. And when I would go to the East Coast, sometimes they did not understand some of the words I was saying. This was even in these very professional settings. There's certain words. So I'm going to give you an example of one of those times that happened. I was in Boston and was working with a nonprofit there, and the team was really struggling. There was one person on the team that was causing a lot of problems. Personality just overpowering the team, kind of some bullying, controlling things. Well, anyway, that person was not there at the training. That's sometimes how it works. The person that needs to be there is not there for us to kind of have a come to Jesus meeting and talk about communication and getting along and all of that. That person wasn't there. So I made the statement. I said to all of them, I said, friends, how can we gain our teammate? This teammate that was there, how can we gain them? Because everyone was very angry and upset at this person. Well, for a good 30 minutes, several of them thought I was saying the word gang, G-A-N-G, rather than gain, G-A-I-N. And finally, the therapist that was one of the professionals in the room of part of the organization said, oh, you're saying gain, not gang, our friend. I was wondering, I was thinking, why would she be telling us to gang up on this person? So after that, I said, if anything doesn't feel right with something that I say, please feel free to ask me to clarify, because sometimes my accent could sound a bit different and cause some confusion, clearly. So needless to say, that has happened sometimes with my accent. Even though some people think it's cute and sweet, it can cause some miscommunication. Okay, so this one doesn't have as much contrast as I would have liked. I was worried about this one here, but I really wanted to be able to use it. So it's just gonna have to be that way. So what I'm doing is these blocks I'm gonna piece and sew together. I'll have 4 of them. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get the flowers ready, but I'm not going to actually I'm not gonna turn them right side out. I'm not gonna applique them down, because that is the part I'm gonna be doing for the demo. Okay, y'all, are all these the same? They are, okay. Anyway, I wanted to really be able to use all of these colors somehow, but sometimes there's just not quite enough contrast. But like I said, it's a baby quilt, it's for a friend. It's still scrappy, it will work. Y'all should see Lisa. So I don't know, Lisa, if you're still here in the chat. Lisa did a beautiful like red and white one when she tested my pattern. And I think it's on, if you go to my website and you look at the Friendship Blooms, so if you look down in the description box, I have a link to this pattern. Ooh, that's really great contrast. Look at this one, isn't that nice? When you go to the description box, click on Friendship Blooms, and I have some of my testers' photos of their top, and Lisa's is the one that is like red and white, different shades of red and white and pink, and hers is gorgeous. My testers did such a nice job. No, I don't like this here. I don't like this one. I don't want stars twice on that. So we are going to switch some things up here. So this is why I lay all of these out ahead of time for the scrappy, because sometimes you don't quite know if you're going to love it or not. So those are all, let's see how that, nope. Star, 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 and then this is the opposite. Oh, thanks y'all. I think it's nice too, but it's not exactly quite right yet, so I'm gonna have to make a little bit of an adjustment here. This one is good. So here's what I'm gonna do. So this is what I like to do. I set them out on my table and then I use, this is a 14-inch rotating cutting mat. And when I get them laid out the way I like them, I will put them all on this mat and then I take them over to the sewing table, and that way they all stay together, because I have a habit, if I get distracted at all, I get a phone call, I run into the house to go to the bathroom, come back, it's like I lose my train of thought and I make mistakes so much easier whenever I do that. So I just have these little things I have to do for my brain. And a lot of it seemed to have gotten worse whenever I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. I was noticing some neurological things that were happening, and it was stuff like that. I'm like, is this just part of aging? Is this what happens when you get old? You know, or you're in perimenopause or whatever. And anyway, long story short, I've got some, I think, neurological damage that's not reversible. And so I make these weird mistakes like that. So I've come up with these little things for myself to try to stay organized and not mess up quite as much, especially since I'm doing lives. Lisa, yeah, the contrast is a big thing. Like I mentioned that, I actually put a special tutorial in the very beginning of the pattern. And I did that for this reason, because when I look at this, like for me, when I look at this, it's okay for the contrast, but when you look like overhead this far away, you can see you kind of lose those in there, right? You just kind of lose it. So, you know, this definitely would not have been a good one to use for a cover quilt, I don't believe, but for me, you know, this was fabric I had and it's just gonna have to work, but it is kind of hard. This pattern was actually more complicated not to make. It was more complicated to design and make sure it was written with clarity because of having to think through your colors before you cut your fabrics for the scrappy version. The other ones are a lot easier because you've just got like 4 colors basically that you're picking, and you've got the coloring sheet to use. But needless to say, it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to make all of that work if you don't lay it out or use the coloring chart. So I lay all these out like this because I need it to all work well. So we're gonna swap these out for this, make sure I'm happy with that. Yes, that looks better. Still these right here, but it is what it is. So am I happy with that one? Yes, okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move these over here. So that they don't get out of order. That's what happened. Although what happened with my other one I just showed y'all that the blocks got out of order, it was the rows. I got my rows, the blocks within the rows out of order, and when I realized that, I was like, my heart just dropped. I'm like, I don't love it as much. It's still great, but I just wanted the values to look a little bit different, and they didn't. So, just what it is. All right, so now, let's see here. What do we want to do? I think we might do these for this one. Yeah, that'll work. Hey, Quilt Winch. Oh, I'm glad you like the fabrics. These are Benartex fabrics. Welcome, welcome. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And we're learning about notifications, okay, for lives. They function a little bit differently, Quilt Husband said, is that you basically if you subscribe to my channel, you'll see the thumbnail pop up whenever I post that I'm gonna go live. And I'll do it usually a day or two before. But today I didn't do it until 45 minutes before. Will your center block applique help achieve more contrast? It will. Yeah, it will, at least on against the lighter ones, I think. I've got a lot of options to choose from of my 10-inch squares, Susan. So I'll audition, because I just need 4. I'll audition each one against the block to see which one, and y'all can help me because I'm gonna do that today. Y'all can help me see what you think on helping that. So that's why I did the white background for one, and then the centers are gonna be a star fabric to help with that contrast. It's just, when I was cutting these, I knew, what did I do here? When I was cutting these, I knew that there might be a problem with the lighter one here. Okay, these go over here. That's what it was I was doing. Let me stop talking for a second. All right, yeah, I've got to get all this yellow back over here out of the way before I do my last block. Anyway, the lighter blue, I was a little nervous about it, but if I didn't use it, I would have to repeat what was left again. So that was really I felt like it was my only option for it to be a different print and not reuse the same print in each block. I didn't want to duplicate using the same print in each block. So I picked the lesser of the two evils. That means there might not be quite as much contrast. And there we go. We've got the last one. So this is what this one's gonna be here. And that's enough of a contrast on this one. Where are you from, Quilt Winch? That's an interesting name. Tell me how that came about. I'm always curious how people come up with their handle, how you name yourselves. It's kind of fun. Yeah, Lisa, you've got a new name. It's got your name and it says home, but I knew it was you because I know your last name. All right, now I've got all of these where they need to be over here on this board, and then I can slowly start stitching these together, and then we will audition the center flowers to see which one's gonna look best. All right, let's move all this over here like this. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, I've learned doing this enough. I'm actually gonna take these units here and I'm gonna leave everything else. So I'm actually gonna take these units here and I'm gonna take those over and sew them together. Then I'm gonna come put them back. I'm gonna take these units here, sew them together, come put them back. I've learned enough making the tote bags and all that if I don't do this, there would be a problem. So that's what we're gonna do. You're from North California. Your mama always calls me a winch. What? As like in a bad way she called you that? Oh, I'm sorry. If that was a bad, that's the only way I know that word is kind of a negative connotation. But you know Eternity Homestead, you know Jennifer, y'all know each other, huh? That's nice. It's nice when you know each other. It's so fun how when you meet people online and then you get to meet in person at a show or something, it's like, oh, we're real. We're real. Okay, I'm gonna swap out and put on my piecing foot here, my 1/4-inch piecing foot. Susan, I'm gonna try to drop these feed dogs again, but we'll see what happens. If I don't have something set right. All right, we're gonna sew these together here. You've seen each other in other chats. Oh, that's fun. So y'all kind of follow the same folks on YouTube. I think that can happen sometimes. Okay, let's see what happens here with the dual. See, it is making too loud of a noise, so I don't know what's going on with that. It wasn't doing that before, so I clearly have not done something right. I'm still getting used to this machine. That is partly why I have not done any tutorials on it yet, because I am still getting used to all the features of it. And I'm going to chain piece these. Oh, okay. So it was because you were ornery and a mouthy child. Quilt addicts unite. Yes, we kind of end up in the same crowds, don't we? And it's interesting because I don't have any close friends here that are quilters. Like, I have some acquaintances that I've met recently here that are quilters, but like no one really that like I've known for a long time or my whole life. And so unless you're a quilter, you don't get it. Like some of our slogans and how we feel about things, or like, you know, our machines or frustrations, or, you know, why we don't usually love trimming HSTs or things like that. It's just a whole culture, right? And we all get each other for sure. When I get back from H&H Americas, this trade show. Okay, she didn't say it to be mean. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel better. I'll tell you why. I used to be a social worker, so I would deal with emotionally abusive parents and all of that stuff. So I have a soft spot, a sensitive spot to anybody that was abused in any form as a child. So I'm glad that that was an enduring term for you growing up and not one that caused you any kind of emotional harm. Sadly, I find that happens a lot. 1 out of 4 girls is abused and 1 out of 8 boys by the time they are 18. And that is just physical and sexual abuse. That does not include any kind of emotional abuse. So I will have sometimes when I'm traveling or I'm flying and people will we just get to talking. If I don't have my earbuds in, like if I'm not in the mood to talk, I'll put my earbuds in. That's the automatic sign not to talk to the person next to you. Because I am an extrovert, but I do sometimes, I'm really tired when I'm done. That one warped a little bit. I am tired sometimes when I'm done with the conferences or trainings that I'm at or stuff for the quilty world. But sometimes when I'm not, I'll talk with the person next to me, and for some reason, people will tell me all kinds of things, and sometimes it's very, very personal, especially when I tell them I was a former social worker. I can't tell you how many strangers have disclosed their abuse, and you know, sometimes they get emotional, and then all of a sudden, sometimes they'll say, I've never told anybody this before. I'm not sure why I'm telling you. And I mean, of course, when people share that kind of sensitive stuff with you, I'm always very compassionate and listen to them, because that's it's a big deal for a stranger just to open up and tell you that. But you can sometimes feel a cloud lift off them a little bit by just verbalizing, what happened. And of course, I always encourage them, no matter how long ago it was or their age, to seek out some therapy, because there's a lot of healing, some unresolved baggage that usually still exists if you grew up in a home that was abusive in any form. So that happens. Sometimes I say, do I have a sign on my face that says, tell me your traumatic stories? It happens so often. And my husband will be like, why does that happen? Why does that happen? I'm like, I don't know. But anyway, I'm so glad it was an enduring term for you, and not like a mean one. Like she was just kind of teasing with you. And Okay, let's see here. Let's now, I've put those back in their home. We're gonna sew these together. I'm always so in awe of people that can just like not really organize their stacks that they're gonna sew and just like do it. Boy, that one's really warped. And they just kind of take it and they don't make mistakes. They just sew. It's like just kind of willy-nilly and boom, they're all good. And I'm like, I have to have these weird little systems that I do, or things do not work out well sometimes. Okay, very much a term of endearment. That makes me feel so much better. That makes me feel so much better. Talking about terms of endearment, I was married before, and kind of a bad experience. And his uncle used to call me a heifer. He's like, "You're the most beautiful heifer I've ever seen." So here in the South, heifers are, you know, cows that are sold. They're worth a lot of money. They're valuable. You know, they're considered, you know, a good thing here. And I was a bit taken back. I'm Southern, but I have never had anyone call me that, because normally when someone calls you a heifer, it's not a nice thing to be called here. So yeah, that was, quote, an enduring term that I was like, that was interesting. Does anyone else think they should have more than one design wall? So don't feel bad about that. Before I had this studio, our whole entire hall in our other house in Missouri was my design wall, because the extra bedroom that was my studio was like 10 by 10. And every piece of that room was filled with something, and there was no room for a design wall because there was a closet, and there was a closet on one wall and a window on another one, so I only had 2 walls. And that also was my office for my virtual trainings with my other business that I would do. So my computer and my desk were in there and all of that. So I actually did that. I actually converted my hall. So you do what works for you. Quilt husband was okay with it. I said, "Hey, can I put this big queen size?" I used queen size batting and this hook system for mine. And it was just so helpful. So yeah, I did it. It's not uncommon. Just do what works for you. Now I have a king size design wall here, so I don't need more than one really. I actually have a couple of things up there. I've got my blocks for, you know, we're doing a sew along for the year. It's my beginner quilt sampler sew along. And I've got the blocks for that, and then I'm actually doing that also in a second collection of fabric. It's linen. I'm doing it in a linen cotton blend, and that's going to be mine to keep. The other one will be part of a trunk show, and also I've got those both up there. So I've got 5 blocks because we're in month 5. I just released the block Thursday. And so I've got that up there. And then I've got a child size lovely pinwheels that I did for Child Abuse Prevention Month last month up there too. I've also got some of they're actually paper swatches of my next fabric collection up there. Yeah, so a king size for me is pretty much big enough, but I did have one down the hall, so totally get that. No, it's supposed to be ironing this way. I never imagined I would be in a larger space like this. Like, it's just been, this was an old RV garage, and we could not find, I mean, I live in really, really rural Arkansas. There's not like houses for sale here. People just don't really sell their homes very often. If they do, they're in kind of bad shape and they need a lot of work, or some of them are like, you know, $250,000, which those kind of houses, we never had houses for sale like that here. So yeah, needless to say, those have got to go backwards. Nope. See, I did it again, y'all. Look at this. You see how, let me go back here to the overhead. I did it again. So I've sewn these together. I'm laying them down, and now they're out of order again. So I think I need to go this, 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 this. There we go. Okay, I need to go backwards when I put them down. This is the kind of stuff that happens to me when I'm talking. All right, there we go. I need to have structure to be efficient and really enjoy the creative process. So Susan, do you not have any like little weird systems at all? I mean, when, you know, honestly, I consider myself a little bit weird, and I really don't care what people think. And it's funny, my husband too, he's like, we're both weird. And when we were younger, you know, that kind of stuff would bother you, what people thought about you. But as you get older, you just stop. You don't care. As long as, you know, it's something's working for you or it's bringing you joy and you're not harming anybody. Make sure that's right. I think that comes with age. Oh, you lived in Gentry, Arkansas? Oh, yeah, up in Northwest Arkansas. I know exactly where that is. It is usually a little bit cooler up there than it is down here in the west central part of Arkansas. They will usually get a little bit colder weather than we do. I don't miss when we were in Missouri. It's about 8 to 10 degrees sometimes cooler there, and they tend to get more worse winters, and that's where my husband is from. So we were there for a while, and we moved down here. It's just a lot cheaper to live here. Things were just increasing cost of living up there. But anyway, the weather is better down here too. Which was a perk. So I'm curious, how long has everybody been quilting in here? Let me know how long. Whoops. Y'all are getting to look at the back side of my head, aren't you? Quilt husband just came in and saved me. He was down in his office. He was down in his office. He's like monitoring to make sure there's no like crazy people that jump in. And so he just walked in and he's like, yeah, you forgot to switch the camera. So y'all were getting to look at the back of my head. Glad I didn't have my PJs on or anything. I pretty much live in leggings. I don't love jeans, especially, I'm kind of curvy, but since I've gained weight too, like I just don't love jeans. They're not comfortable, they're constricting. So I usually live in little sundresses in the summer, or leggings, or like longer shorts. Speaking of shorts, it is very difficult to find shorts that are long enough and they're not like all the way up to you know where. Very difficult. Or when you sit down, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one with this problem, where you sit down and like your fat squeezes out the side of your shorts. I can't stand that. Y'all are getting to hear my real feelings about things. Okay, so Quilt Winch. What's your real, do you want to tell us your first real name? I've learned that Prep for Attorney Homestead is Jennifer. And we know Brenda, and of course Lisa. 25 years, that's a long time. You know, that is, I think, it was interesting. That is why when they interviewed me and on the article, and Meg wrote about all the things that I've done in a short period of time, I spent some time thinking about that, and I think this is what it is subconsciously. Part of it is there's so much fun stuff to do. There's so many things, techniques, things to learn, just so much fun stuff in the quilty world that, you know, I learned at 45. It's been 5 years now. We're going on, this is the 5th year. Learned during the pandemic, absorbed everything I could on YouTube. Went the wrong direction. Everything I could on YouTube. You know, I couldn't take any classes in person or anything until kind of all of that was calmed down and over. And I think it's that I feel like I've missed out on learning how to do this earlier in life. Like I just wasn't exposed to it at all. And I think I'm making up for lost time. I just love it so much. And you know, I'll try things. I have this saying, take what works and leave the rest. I'll try things, and some things I don't love, so I won't do it again. You know, if I don't like something, I'm like, yeah, I tried it, don't love it. But a lot of things I do really enjoy. So I think it's you know, as we get older, our bodies may not be quite as strong, which is another reason I've been taking this strength training class, just so I can move and keep gardening and do all the things for as long as possible. I've watched my dad really try to take care of himself because he doesn't want all of that. So anywho, Trish. Okay, Trish. So I'm trying to practice remembering people's names that have handles that don't have their name in it. And I'm not great with names. So I'm really trying to remember Trish. Especially for those that like come back and are regular here all the time. I've gotten better at it. Especially Jennifer. She's been back and I've been good at trying to remember that one. All right, there we go. One more set over here. And then we can start sewing the rows together. All right. That one goes there. Now I'll remember to press the button so y'all aren't looking at the back of my head. Susan says, hard for me to identify what I might be weird. 2 years. So you've been quilting 2 years, Susan. Okay. So you're a newer quilter too. Do you feel like you're trying to make up for lost time? There's literally a dopamine dump that happens with hobbies that you love. And it makes you feel good. Like you just want to do it because there's a dopamine rush. Of course, it's got to be something you enjoy, but there's chemically something that happens with that. That's probably why they encourage us to have some level of hobbies. I mean, you've got to be balanced with it, right? We have other things that need to take priority and we have to do in life. I mean, in a sense, it was a sacrifice for me. I used to make a lot more money when I worked for someone else doing the same work I do, the consulting work, but I work for someone else. And to have the flexibility of my own schedule and to kind of go with my, you know, when I need rest and sleep and what have you. But, you know, there's just not those expensive vacations anymore and all of that kind of stuff. Buying new cars all the time. Well, not all the time. I never really bought them all the time, but you know what I'm saying. You make sacrifices, and sometimes sacrifices are really worth it when you really find out what means the most to you. Is having freedom to adjust your schedule to do other things that you want to do, or be there for your family or what have you. I was talking to somebody the other day and she was saying how the older that she's gotten, the more she just loves to do all the things at home. You know, she's made home her sanctuary, the gardening and the flowers and the sewing and the baking and reading and just all that. I think there's something to be said for that. Yeah, it's fun to keep learning new things, isn't it? It's like it's endless. I don't think we could ever learn all the things in quilting, really. Or learn all the things and be proficient at it. Well, that one's kind of off a little bit. I'm curious to know, are any of you really type A with your piecing? Like, for example, that right there. Some people would unpick that. I, however, am not. I'm going to fudge that and make that work when I piece these together. I say I'm a recovering perfectionist. I used to be really very much that way, and it caused a lot of anxiety for me. It would really rob me of a lot of joy when I was younger. And so as I've gotten older, I'm just like, you know, it's good enough. It depends. Some things, you know, if they're really going to be in the spotlight, or I don't know, you're trying to show a really good technique or teach a class or something, you know, but at the same time, it's like, I don't believe in the quilt police. Actually, that's something that annoys me. I have a very strict social media policy when it comes to snarkiness, hatefulness, people that leave mean comments, all of that, bullying, all of that stuff. I have a zero tolerance policy for it. And so I immediately, I don't even waste my time responding. Don't even waste the energy, and I don't want it to live on my platforms. So I immediately delete and block the person on any of my social media channels. And it actually, I know a lot of friends and stuff will interact and go ahead and argue, and it's just like, I don't have time for that, nor do I want to feel all of that negativity. I tell you, it happened actually. It doesn't happen very often, but it happened this week. And so, you know, I did my Baby Lock Sashiko video last Monday, and on Instagram, I had posted a short reel of the machine. So the Baby Lock Sashiko will stitch anywhere from 2mm to 5mm. You can do short quilting stitches or long ones, and I like the longer ones. It's just my preference. So someone, you know, I think it was a real person. Sometimes it's bots, but I really believe this was a real person. Actually said on there, a good quilter would use smaller stitches than you used. That was the comment. So I just kind of read that for a moment. I was like, yep, this one's not living here on my platform. So it was delete and block. Yeah, people just can be ornery sometimes, can't they, right? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Okay, let me read the comments here. Susan, you're going to be 72 in June. Oh, you feel like it. Yeah, see, when you just learned something, it's like, oh, I don't have much time left. I need to do all the things, which is probably why you were meal prepping and getting everything ready so you could spend 7 hours in your studio today, right? No type A allowed. You got no time for it. Trish, you're a close enough personality. That's good. Yeah, there's just more joy, I think, with that when we're like, you know what, this is close enough. Because who wants to sit here for an hour and pick everything out unless you just absolutely have to and you can't make it work, right? All right, so we've got all the pieces here now. So I'm going to make sure all of these are correct under here. I'm going to sew my rows together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set these on top of each other, one row at a time. So I'm just going to do the first top row. Take them over to the machine, and I'm going to lay them back out the way they were over there. And then I'm going to come and bring it back here and lay it here like this. Let's see. Lisa's type A. You're learning to let go after leaving your professional life. Yeah, you know, same with me. I think because I dealt with such a serious topic for so long with what I did, you had to have all your ducks in a row or kids could get hurt, right? People could get hurt. I also worked with domestic violence victims and things like that. So it was very on edge a lot. So I can totally understand that for sure. Let's see here. Jennifer. Yeah, people just need to be kind or be quiet. I need to make a sweatshirt, an embroidered sweatshirt that says be kind or be quiet. Right? I actually have a list of, so I also, when I lived at flea market and thrift stores, I'll get really gently used sweatshirts that are in really good condition. I have a stack of probably 20 here because I have all of these reverse applique or appliqued sayings that I want to put on sweatshirts. But I don't have time to do it all the time, but I have it in my head that I want to, so I have the stuff there for when I get a hankering to do it. So, Brenda, you were type A before you became disabled. A head injury. I'm sorry. So sorry about that. I'm glad you're still able to quilt with a head injury, and that doesn't cause you problems. Yeah, I don't listen to the quilt police either. I don't listen to the quilt police either. That's why they don't get to live on my platforms. And that's another reason Quilt Husband kind of monitors, just in case, because apparently there's like bots, and they call them trolls, that will just like pop into these things and just be nasty. They might post bad links in there. They might say mean things. It's like, ain't nobody got time for that. Okay, yeah, y'all, if y'all not tapped the like button and you like the video so far, if you would like it, I would appreciate it. It actually, what I've learned happens is when you do that, YouTube will push your video out in front of more people to get more people to follow along. And in full transparency, I am trying to monetize this channel. I am not monetized right now. And I was like, you know what? I'm out here in my studio doing this stuff anyway. Why not do it with friends and still be able to monetize? So in full transparency, it's twofold here. It's to be able to hang out with people that we can't be together, share my love for quilting with others, get tips from y'all, share tips to you, and then also be able to try to make a little money from it. Okay. Isn't he cute? He's really sweet. So he's an IT guy. If it wasn't for him, if y'all read the Quilt Folk article, I wasn't sure if they would put my quote in there, but I called him my secret weapon with this business because he's really good at computer stuff, all things computer, also video and equipment, all of the IT kind of stuff. If it was not for him, this channel would not be consisting of lives. There's no way, unless I just did it with my phone. I would have to be one of those lives that did it with just my phone, and it would not be the quality that it is if it wasn't for him. There we go. We've got the top row done, y'all. So anyway, I quoted him in there as my secret weapon. Like he pops in here. Y'all can't see him, but he pops in to check, make sure the camera's the right view. He came in a while ago and accidentally forgot to press the button so that y'all didn't have to stare at my backside. So he has an office in another building on the property. So he's on one end, opposite side of the house, and I'm on another end in the studio, opposite side of the house. So we have our own space to go to our offices every day, but he is cute. He's trying to help me remember. Like, I've totally forgot last night on Quilt Folk to say, you know, please like and subscribe. I'm not used to that yet. It's kind of hard to do that, honestly, because I'm not like a salesperson, so some of it doesn't feel natural, but you kind of have to, like when this is your business and you're trying to market and you know, make a living and stuff, you have to do some of that, but sometimes it feels a little awkward. Quilt Husband is the great man behind a great woman. He really is. Susan, did you see him? Did you see the story in Quilt Folk? Do you subscribe to Quilt Folk and see the picture? They took a really sweet picture of us together, looking all dreamy-eyed in front of the house. Of course, for me, I was a little bit mortified because it was a side angle and I looked huge, but, well, yeah, I weighed a little bit more when they came in January, but I was like, oh, but I had to just let it go. I'm like, you know what? I just had this surgery. It was very swollen, I've gained weight. It's just a chapter in my life. And of course, Quilt Husband, he's really sweet. He's like, I love you in all your forms, even when you're fluffy. But it's been a little hard because I'm not used to being 30 pounds heavier. Like, that's been, like, even my knees and my ankles, I could feel it getting up and off the toilet. It all happened so rapidly after surgery when they took all my hormones, and I think it messed up my metabolism, and it was not been a fun experience. So anyway, he is a good guy. He is a good guy for sure. All right, we're getting close, y'all. We've just got 2 more rows, and we'll press these, and then I can work on the flowers. And y'all will have hung out with me and helped while I prep these for Chicago. It's just as honorable to sell it as it to buy, said Mary Kay. My mama used to sell Mary Kay. Did y'all ever use Mary Kay? She always had the little pink, you know, they were always in the little round pink palettes, if you want to call them that. And one of them, y'all, I swear was the consistency of Vaseline. It was thick and it was pink. And she always had that on her face at night. So when I would hug her or kiss her at night, it would like smear on my face. And my grandma, my mom's mom, also wore Mary Kay. So either one of them. And the smell, if I smelled the smell now, it would totally bring back memories. That stuff was the thickness of like toothpaste. It's like Vaseline. But I like that quote. It's just as honorable to sell as it is to buy. I'll have to remember that. Yeah, it's still a little hard. Marketing, so I don't know, marketing, I like to market indirectly more so. The selling part, like where you're just coming out and like, and here, you can buy this here, click this, I'm having a sale. All of that still feels, I don't know, I'm still getting used to it. You know, you have to do it. You have to, it's part of business, but it feels weird sometimes still. I just, last week, so, you know, my jumbo alphabet and number clips, I used to make all of those. Like, I ordered the parts that are needed and would assemble all of them. And I couldn't keep up with the demand because when I would make like a set of 30, and I was making just half the alphabet and just numbers 1 through 10, and it would take a while. All those had to be hand placed, hand glued on there, and I had a little assembly line, and I would do that, and they became pretty popular. I used to sell them on Etsy, and then I sold them on my website, and I just couldn't keep up with it. And then I had some distributors asking me, you know, are you distributing these? And I'm like, I can't, there's no way I can send off 200 of these. So I looked for the manufacturer, could not find, there was no one that had the molds to be able to do any of it here in the States. So I had to start getting them manufactured overseas. And so I did my first order last summer, and they came actually, I think it was a week before my hysterectomy. I was so grateful that they came because I wasn't going to be able to lift anything for a while. So anyway, I did one, and then I did my second order in January, and I ordered extra because I knew something might happen with, if there was an issue with the tariffs, I was not going to be able to afford to have them manufactured again. Like small, I just couldn't afford it. Well, anyway, they got here. Not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, and I was so grateful. That was when our camping trip got canceled, and we happened to be home. They were delivered on a Saturday, and so I was here, and I had 28 boxes stacked over here with 1,600 clips. So I had to go through, check all of them, make sure, you know, there were no problems with them and all, and then I had to rebox them into the distributor orders. So I got all that done. So my back was pretty sore. I went and got a massage last week. So I'm glad I got all that done before I left on this trip, because they've been waiting for them for a while. But anyway, yeah, those kind of sell themselves because they're super handy. If y'all are new and you're like, what is she talking about alphabet clips? It's these. These are my alphabet clips. And they come in a tin. There's the alphabet and the number clips. And they come in a tin to keep them in. And they hold 1 inch stack of fabric. This is a really strong, durable metal, and then this is the letters that are adhered to the top. And you don't have to rebuy these like you do pins. Pins bend, they don't hold thick stacks, but this will hold up to 1 inch. So for those of you that are new joining me, these are my alphabet clips. They're on my website, or a lot of the local fabric shops are starting to carry them now. All right, let's go over to the machine. Let's see, I forgot your question while you were typing. Yes, extra emollient night cream. That's exactly what my mom wore. She bought the rights to the recipe from a Texas hide tanner. Did you Google that? Is that where she came up with that, with Mary Kay came up with that recipe? I mean, I know a Tide, so I wonder if he used tallow, beef tallow. I have some face cream. I started using only organic. It's called Primally Pure because of our skin is the largest organ and it absorbs so many chemicals. I've started using, literally, it's all organic and it will only stay good for 6 months or it'll go rancid. And so I've started using all of that stuff for my face. And I know tallow is really helpful, but I'd be curious to know if that had tallow in that recipe. That's what it was, extra emollient. It was like Vaseline. It was like this thick. So it's like when you would go to hug, you would try to avoid, like when I would hug mom or my grandma, you would kind of try to avoid your face smashing up because all that cream would get on your face. And as a kid or a teenager, like it would just be like, anyway. Good old Mary Kay. My mom never had the pink car. She had a little red bug, a little red Volkswagen bug, and it had the sticker on it that said Mary Kay, which was super fun. Okay, so Susan, you sold it too. Yeah, my mom did. She had fun with that. I remember looking in those fun pink cases that she had, like as a little girl, looking at all of the pink cases and the makeup and everything. That was a lot of fun to look through all of that. She also sold Avon. So she sold Avon before that when she was home with us kids. And then she sold Mary Kay. And she also, my mom was a wonderful garment sewer. She made the most beautiful suits and business suits and dresses. They were like business dresses, very tailored. They were so pretty. She never taught me how to sew. I'm sure she probably didn't have a lot of time. I learned how to use a sewing machine and sew in home economics class a little bit, but I never learned how to quilt. My dad's grandmother was the quilter, Grandma Anna, but she always put that stuff up when we came to visit her a couple times a year. She never had it out. So she was a quilter and I have a few of her things. I have her big tin of buttons. She saved every single button on every top or piece of clothing that was going to be discarded or thrown out or whatever. And she hand quilted on a loom. Her friends would come over and they would hand quilt, but never learned how to do it. But my mom, she was a beautiful garment sewer. I still can see her in the utility room. The sewing machine was in the back of the utility room. It was green. I think it was a Kenmore. And I would always open up the door and look at all the notions in there. I remember all of that very vividly. And she made some really pretty things for me. When I was 15, my grandmother my mom's mom that lived on the property. So the river house that y'all heard me talk about last night, that's our other Airbnb. It's also spillover for larger quilting groups when everyone can't fit at the new retreat home, then there's room for more down at the river house and you can use both houses. And the river house it's an older home, but Dad's upgraded some of it and it overlooks the Ouachita River. Well, anyway, I was talking about that last night on talking about quilt folk and stuff. And oh my goodness, I totally lost my thought. Susan, you used it to protect your hands while gardening. So did you put it on before you put your gloves on? Did you put it on your hands and then put it in your gloves? And put it on your feet? Yeah, I could see where that would be really good on your feet. I use shea butter on my feet. Okay, what story was I trying to tell? The river house. Oh boy, it just left me, y'all. Menopause. I'm blaming everything on menopause. My mom's sewing. Oh, okay. Now I remember when I was 15, my grandmother that lived down the hill at the river house I was talking about last night, she let my brother and I pick anywhere we wanted to go in the world. We could pick to go on a vacation with her. And my grandparents traveled a lot. My grandfather he restored Indian artifacts. He was one of the only ones in the world that did it, and he would do it for some of the museums. He also was a musician, and he wrote books, music books that were sold up until the day he died. They were sold kind of all over, like guitar, accordion, piano, all of that. And my grandmother was retired from, she was a vice president of a bank. Well, anyway, they traveled a lot in their retirement years. And so we got to pick where we wanted to go. Well, I picked England and I picked Europe. And so my mom made me this really pretty, I still remember, I was actually kind of this color here, like this. And I always wanted one of those skirts that when you spin around, it would twirl. It was like a full skirt. So she made me the skirt and a little top that went with it. And I remember taking that on my trip. And so she made me a couple of dresses. Look what I did. Oh, I did it right. Okay, good. That threw me off for a second because that is so light. Whew. My mom's sewing machine. Oh, were you trying to help me remember what I was talking about, Trish? I think it was a Kenmore. It was green, I believe. You know, my grandma, Anna, my aunt has all of her quilts, and I believe the sewing machine, my cousin told me, and it's like stored in her shed, and I've asked him if I could get those rather than them just rotting away, and I have a feeling they're rotting away if it's not air conditioned and all that stuff. I would love to be able to go through and have none of her quilts. The only quilt I have is the baby quilt she made me, which was a whole cloth quilt. It's not even pieced. I have her ironing board, which she used to iron sheets for the Park Hotel in Hot Springs. That was like a little job she had. She didn't drive, and I think someone would drop the sheets off for her, and she would use the ironing board. So I have that. It's all wood. All of it's completely wood. I took off the nasty cover that was on it, and that's like a decoration, a vintage decoration in here. And then I have her button bins as well. And I have one of her cooking bowls also. And that's all I have of hers. But I really wish I had her quilts, but she never taught me how to do that. You know, we only saw her a couple times in the summer when we were out of school, and we would go stay with her because she didn't live here. She lived a little bit away. I have some of my best memories. I'm actually going to design a fabric collection in memory of her. It's going to be a vintage collection. I've not started it, but I have my inspiration for it. We kind of have to think ahead on the collections. You have to be working like a year ahead on things. So I'm already on the second collection we're working on that will release next summer. So this one will release, I say release. When I say release, I mean hit fabric shops. So the one that you'll see at Quilt Market, and I'll be able to start posting photos about, the actual fabric doesn't start to getting to fabric shops until like early spring, late winter, early spring. And then the next collection will start getting there in summertime, and that's the one I'm working on now. We're kind of in the middle of all of that. I've sent some of my watercolor and my sketches, and now we're trying to figure out colors and color palette, and I'm really excited. It's got a little bit of a vintage vibe to it, this next collection, and it's actually one that I have not found that one exists, the theme. I looked to see, and I couldn't find anything, and so I was like, you know what, I think I need to do this. So anyway, that's the plan. All right, we've got our middle row done, y'all. Okay, let's see here. that right? Make sure I've got these in order. Okay, this one goes down. I have to remember to go backwards. Bottom. There. There. Nope. I was right. See, this is how I screw things up if I don't pay attention. Okay. Oh, did someone ask about Quilt Folk? Oh, Susan. Okay, yeah. Oh, Quilt Husband. Okay, he's dropping things in. I don't always get to look at the chat the entire time we're together, so. Your sister's mother-in-law has a featherweight buried in her basement somewhere. I know, right? Like some people don't realize the great thing that they have, and it's like we don't want it to rot. Ugh, we definitely don't want anything to happen to those things. It's like they don't want to part with it but they're not using it, and it'll ruin, and then, you know, then it's no good at all. It's tough. It's tough. Well, my cousin, he knows that I want that stuff. So I think that at some point when my aunt, you know, if she passes, I think he'll make sure that I get it. So even if like I didn't get all of it, just to have one quilt, and a lot of hers, y'all, polyester. Like a lot was polyester. Oh, Quilt Husband had to walk down and tell me I forgot to change the view of the camera. There's so many things to remember. So many things. I'm sorry, y'all. Feel free to put in the chat. If y'all see that I forget to change camera views, you will not hurt my feelings to just prompt me and remind me. It's that whole multitasking, like rubbing your head and your belly, patting your belly, rubbing your head at the same time kind of thing. I just have never been good at that, so I think it'll take some time. Okay, that is not lined up well at all. Let's see what we got going on with that. I'm gonna have to fudge on this one a little bit. So I was looking back at my lives, and the Sashiko video, oh my goodness, it is done like 3 times. I've had 3 times as many views on that one as all of my lives that I've done. That machine, people are just fascinated with. Just fascinated with. I've actually had several people that have the machine that showed up that have never used it. They've had it and they haven't used it yet. So they were like, I was like, you get that thing out and use it. So we did that last Monday night. So do any of y'all sew garments at all? Or do you only sew like quilty things? I'm curious to know. Nope, 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 somehow. Somehow I am short one. Where's the other one? There it is. There we go. No garment sewers? So for me, I have attempted a quilt coat, and the designer of the pattern that I bought, she is neurodivergent, so she created the pattern to be for neurodivergent brains. And my brain kind of works that way sometimes. And so I bought the pattern, and it comes, literally the pattern is already, it's not even all taped together. It's all in this massive, huge roll, and you just lay it out and cut your pieces out. So I did all that, and made it, I was trying to make it for QuiltCon, and it's quote oversized. Well, let me tell y'all, it was so oversized, I made the extra large. I'm gonna have to unpick, it's really only 4 parts. I'm gonna have to unpick the sides, the back, and the sleeves and cut them down to a small. So I have wasted a vintage rescue quilt, because that's what I used. I was not about to piece a quilt and then cut it up. And so I had some vintage ones that had holes in it, like they weren't usable, or I could not re-gift them because there were some pretty bad holes in it and some stains, but there were enough areas of it that I could make a quilt coat. So anyway, I'm gonna have to cut this down, and it kind of bums me out a little bit that the pattern was really not true to size, because I'm gonna have to cut it down, and that's gonna be like wasted material. And the amount that I'm gonna have to cut off is about this much. So it's not really like you can make a pouch out of that. It's not like having a big, thick section. So anyway, I'm gonna come up with some things to use it for so I don't waste the vintage material. But anyway, I am attempting, and I kind of had an idea. I was like, oh, maybe I can get it finished this weekend and I can take it to Chicago because it'll be a little chilly there. But I don't know if that's going to happen. If I can get the garden, we finished getting the garden done. If Quilt Husband does the garden, I might be able to work on it tomorrow. But if not, it'll be for another day. So, no garments for Linda. Brenda, yep, you're trying to get back into it. So you have done it before, Linda. You're just trying to get back to it. Susan's been sewing garments since she was 13. Oh, it is fascinating, Quilt Husband. That's what he wrote. He said garment sewing is fascinating. It really is. The thing about it, you know, it's like you got to stay the same size, and you got to make something that doesn't go out of style, because you think about all that work you put into it. And then it's like, if it doesn't fit or it goes out of style. Quilts never go out of style, right? The other thing I made, if you count it as clothing, was a bucket hat. That was my only quote, that was my first quote garment. I don't know, I'd call that an accessory. But this quilt coat is my first one. I'm gonna be super proud of myself when I finish it, but like I said, I'm gonna have to unpick it, cut it down, and I might be able to get it done tomorrow afternoon. We'll see. Okay, one more row. I tried to make a vest. I tried to make a quilt vest. Yeah, that was a little rough. Mona, you made a jacket. You made panels of blocks, a lot of work. Next one, you're gonna use a thrifted quilt. Yeah, that's exactly, I'm like, you know what? If I make like jackets or quilt coats, I'm just gonna use ones that I find at a thrift store that are, you know, have got stains or holes in them. I've got 2 more. So when I went out to Portland, I was out in Portland last August because Maywood Studio sponsored I taught on a quilt cruise last August to Alaska. I designed my Arctic Stars pattern was designed for that, and I had 25 ladies that we sailed together, and I went to Portland to Maywood to pick up the kits, so they kitted it. And while I was there, I stayed at a B&B. Now, first off, let me say, I did learn something. When booking in Oregon or Washington, make sure I ask if there's air conditioner. It happened to be a heat wave in August there. It was like 90 degrees, and my room was upstairs, so it was hot. And I'm not one to sleep naked, but I tell you what, I slept in as little clothes as possible because it was hot, hot, hot. So that was something I learned about being in Portland. Anyway, I digress. In Portland. Oh man, what was I saying? Let me go look back in chat, see if I can jog my memory. Oh, the thrifted quilts. Yes. Okay. So, or the thrifted quilts, they were vintage. So the lady I stayed with, the B&B I stayed at, she had an online, basically kind of flea market, but it was like really nice vintage antique stuff. So when I told her why I was there and I was a quilter and all of that, she goes, oh, I've got some vintage quilts. She goes, I have no idea how much to sell them for. She's like, they've got stains on them, and she'd never sold them before. So she pulled them out. She pulled out, I think, 4. And they did. They had some stains and stuff. And anyway, she ended up selling them to me for $40 a piece, and which was a really good, I thought they were a good deal because they were pretty large and there was enough, quite a bit of material that I knew I could make a quilt coat and then probably some pouches and, you know, I don't know, maybe a journal cover or whatever out of that. So she actually shipped them home to me. I mean, I had to pay for shipping, but she shipped them home to me. And so that's what I'm actually using. Let me go I'll grab the quilt coat and show it to you. They're really happy spring colors. They're not like my normal earthy colors that I would wear, but they're really happy spring colors. Let me go put this up and I'll grab it and I'll show it to you. Here, okay, we've got our rows sewn. Okay, let me go over and grab it and I'll show you my scraps I've got left too. So, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, so I made a vest. So here's the vest. This is the little vest. So on the back, I embroidered a little patch that says "Make Lovely Things" on it. It's like a little pinwheel there. And I used the gingham. This is a like already made ruffle on it, but it was too big. And I'm not unpicking this one. The pattern was just way too big. So it needs to like overlap. Like it just did not work out well. I need a little hook and eye right here. I could do that, but it's not very flattering, as you can see. And if you just leave it open like this, it's way too big through here. So this was Belle's attempt to sew a vest. But it's really, I loved the little ruffle on it, but it's like, I need to like overlap it like this to even make it work. Hey, Angela. Well, I'm in the middle of making Friendship Bloom quilt box to get ready for H&H Americas because I'm gonna be doing a demo. And now we're on the topic of Belle trying to make garments. I'm not a garment sewer and I've attempted a quilt coat, what I'm gonna show you. So we're taking a little break. And this was the vest. And the problem was the pattern that I bought, the sizes were not true to size. So this is like, this, oh, what was this one? This was a large, but it fits like an extra large. This one does. So here I am like this. And the only option really, I feel like to make this work is just to do a little hook and eye, like maybe here and here, like that. But I don't know, it just adds so much extra weight, right? And I'm already heavier anyway, so I don't feel like it's very flattering. But anyway, there's that. But here's the quilt coat. I'm just gonna put this here. This is the quilt coat I'm gonna have to unpick. So the only thing I hadn't finished was putting on the collar. So I haven't put on the collar, but after I got so you got your back panel, it's all one piece. You got your two front panels here, and then the sleeves, okay? Look how big this thing is. I put it on Quilt Husband. It's too big for Quilt Husband. This is an extra large, y'all. This is an extra large. This is what the pattern said this was an extra large. Look how long the sleeves are. I mean, I was feeling big anyway, but I mean, this is an extra large. Look at that. It's huge. So, I mean, even look how much is in the arms. So I won't be able to recommend this pattern to anybody. I mean, it's easy if when you cut out the pieces, I mean, the pieces are huge. They're literally the size of this. It came in a roll. Yeah, this is like a 3X, I think. So anyway, I'm gonna unpick the sleeves and unpick the panels, lay them on top of the small, and I'm gonna actually go down to a small because I think the small will fit me more like a large. Maybe my mom's button collection has a special ornamental button to feature on the front. It's actually my grandma's buttons that I have. Mona, you like it this baggy? Really? Oh, it's just too big. Like, I've got to go down. I just have to go down. And y'all, here's what I did. Because I didn't use a serger, I have a serger, but because I didn't use the serger on it, the seams are exposed, okay? Like the seams here, these are just raw edges, all right? This was Belle just like rushing through. Yeah, too baggy, right? But here's what I did, y'all. Let me do the overhead. I was like, oh, I don't want people to see the seams. So I got some more of that gingham ruffle and I just like improvised and sewed it to the inside so that when I roll the sleeves up, you just see the ruffle because the sleeves were too long. And I already put binding on the edge. But I'm getting ready to have to cut this down, so it may mess the whole thing up. I don't know. So then I just like, you know what? I'm just gonna put this to the side and this was in February. I have had this on hold since February. But isn't that fun? This was the vintage quilt. Isn't it fun? It's got like pinwheels all over it. It's like a spring print, but it's too big. So if I can get this unpicked tomorrow and make it smaller, I'll take it to Chicago. Otherwise, this is just, I don't think it's really salvageable. It's not very flattering. I just don't think it's very flattering. So I don't know, maybe I'll sell it or something. I'll give it cut it up and you make pouches or something with it. I don't know. So it'll make a good snuggle jacket in the winter. Y'all are so positive. Here's the thing. Sometimes I can talk myself into stuff like that. Not with this one. I'm like, I can't. It's just too baggy. Like, I've got to cut it down. And it's fixable because there's literally one sleeve, panel, one panel in the back. I just pick all that apart. It won't take too long. You know, lay it on top of the small version of the pattern, cut it down, and then I can sew it together. I think it might take me maybe a couple hours, so I might be able to do it tomorrow. So I'll let you know how it goes if I end up getting it done. Yeah, the sleeves are giant, right? And I already am feeling, you know, fluffy, so it's like I don't want to look even bigger. But anyway, I kind of want to wear the quilt coat, but it's got to look presentable. So we'll see what happens with that tomorrow. All right, it's time to sew these rows together. However, I've got to take a potty break. So Quilt has made me a Be Right Back video that lasts for 2 minutes. So I have 2 minutes to go in to the ladies' room and come back out. So we're gonna take a bio break right now and you're gonna get to see the little jingle that he made for me. And he told me to make sure that I remembered to take off my microphone so it doesn't go with me in the house and you hear me pee. So anyway, 2 minutes, y'all. Hang with me, don't leave. I'm gonna come back and we're gonna work on these blocks again. And I'm gonna go, we'll take a bio break, everybody, if you need to, and I'll be right back, okay? All right, let me find it.
You are watching Thread Life with Belle. Belle will be right back, y'all. Yeah, I said she'll be right back. So stay on track. Belle will be right back. You are watching Thread Life will be right back. So stay on track. Belle will be right back. You are watching Get Life with Belle. Belle will be right back, y'all. You are watching with Belle. Belle will be right back, y'all. Thread life, 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 with Belle. You are watching Thread Life with Belle. Belle will be right back, y'all.
Hey, I'm back. What'd you think of the Be Right Back song? Oh, Angela, you loved it? The music? I know, Quilt Husband did all of my music for me. I told you, he is the secret weapon behind Thread Life with Belle when it comes to all of the, you know, the lights, and I've got cameras and the buttons and all of that. Oh, good. Tea refill, coffee refill. Okay, I'm glad y'all liked the Be Right Back, because I was like, what if they all leave? When I come back, they're not here. Right? So anyway, that's the Be Right Back. When I'm doing these longer live streams like this on Saturday, I was like, I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom, right? Or go get a snack or something. So anyway, yeah, so I'm glad that you all were okay with that. So when you see the Be Right Back, you know I'm coming back. So if you happen to log on and that's on at some point, you know I'm coming back. It's just a bio break. You don't wanna meet Quilt Husband? Come here. He's like, no. If you go back to my very first video, very first one live, I introduced him to everybody, and I told everybody this might be the only time you get to see him, because he's very bashful. But anyway, if you want to see, he's cute. He's bald. He's 6 years younger than me. I told him I married young so he could take care of me when I get old. Okay. All right, we're back. So here's the deal. This camera only has so much battery to it, and I have been on for almost 3 hours. So I'm gonna have to kind of pay attention to this and see. I would love to be able to get this prep work done with you guys, but we only have so much battery life on the camera. So we'll see how the mic goes. It was kind of turning red, so I plugged it in while I went to the bathroom for just those couple of minutes. We'll see how it goes. All right, so here we go. Now, I'm back to the Friendship Blooms block. I'm gonna sew these 4 together, and then I'm going to, I think what I'll do, for the sake of you guys being with me, I'll sew 1 together, and then I will show you how I do the flower. Maybe I'll just do that now. I'll just set this out of the way, and I'll just set all this over here on the sewing machine. And then I'll do the flowers with you guys just in case the battery and all of that. We haven't done one this long. I think when I did my last Stitchin Saturday, I think I went 2 hours, maybe 2.5. So this is a little bit longer. So we're also testing how long the battery life is for this stuff too. So these are the ones really that I wanted to use for the flowers, because they've got really big animals on them. I do have some other ones back here, but if I use any of these other prints back here, I'm repeating the fabric, and I really don't want to do that. So let's audition and make sure this is going to be all right. You see, there's a lot of thinking that goes into the scrappy version of Friendship Blooms. There really is. So let me take one of these. So here's kind of what this one's going to look like. You'll see, you know, this is open. You'll see kind of the peekaboo from there, and then this one goes on top. I'm just going to go with it, y'all, because I don't want to reuse the same print in a block. And this one, these large ones, I haven't. So I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to do it. The baby won't care, right? Who was it? One of y'all just said, good enough is good enough, or good enough is okay. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to show you how, if you've not seen how I do these, I've actually got to cut some interfacing. So let's get out my rotating cutting mat. This is my magnetic rotating cutting mat. And let's see here. Let's do my fusible. So I'm gonna have to cut some of the fusible. So I did, the baby will love it. Close enough is good enough. How often are you live? Trish, well, Mondays and Fridays, unless I'm traveling or I'm teaching somewhere or something. And then Stitchin Saturday is usually in the afternoon. Today I started a little bit early, but normally it'll be in the afternoons after like 1 o'clock. So yeah, and Saturdays are really about just working on a UFO or a work in progress. So I just encourage people, grab your stuff and hang out with me. I'm not really necessarily teaching you anything. Like, I'm not doing a formal, I'm gonna show you how to make a pin cushion or whatever, because I've actually already done some tutorials on the Friendship Blooms block. I mean, you're getting to kind of see how it works again, or maybe for the first time, but I'm not actually doing a tutorial. This is, come hang out with me while I am working on this for a trade show I'm going to. I have to have these blocks ready for a demo that I'm doing. I have to have them ready partially. I'm not gonna be appliquing the flower with you guys today. That's the part I'll do there with this thermo web of showing kind of how you fuse that on and all of that stuff. So I'm saving that step for when I'm actually there. But I'm not gonna have a sewing machine in the booth. So it's not like I could actually sew these flowers while I was there. It's more about the iron, the heat and bond, and the pieced block. So it's really marketing this pattern to the shop owners that are there. And let's see, I may not have enough for the hexie. We'll have to see. I may have to cut more for that. Anyway, today is all about prepping for Chicago. I'm kind of behind because those clips came in early. I didn't think they were going to come in this soon, so I spent most of last week with dealing with all of that and getting that off to distributors. Those are 10-inch there. There we go. So anyway, I was like, you know what? I'll just go live, and if y'all want to hang out with me while I'm doing this, we can. The baby will love it. Yeah, I think the baby will too. They won't be too picky, right? And see, that's the other thing. When you're giving a quilt to someone that's not a quilter, they don't really know if there's mistakes, right? They don't really necessarily know, oh, those values were, you know, she shouldn't have used that light of a fabric. They don't really notice that as much, right? So, hey, just keeping it real, y'all. If this was going to be like in a quilt show or something, this would be a whole different ball game. Now, that's a whole different topic. I have entered a few quilts in regional shows, but not in like any of the big national shows, because my quilts just aren't that kind of fanciness. But I did win a 3rd place. I've won a 3rd place ribbon and a third place ribbon, two third place ribbons. No, it was a second place and a third place. I was looking over at the wall, and then like a People's Choice, but they were all like local ones. They were not AQS or International Quilt Festival, but I do encourage people to try it. You don't have anything to lose. Really, you don't. And you get great feedback, which is nice because the judges will leave you kind of feedback, and I'm all about feedback because I learn that way, and I don't mind being critiqued. So, yeah. All right, so here we go. I'm going to show you how I do this for my friendship blooms. Okay, so it's bumpy side. This is the glue to pretty side. So basically it's right sides together. Because your bumpy side, when we sew all this and we turn it right side out, which I'm not going to turn right side out with you, we want the sticky side to be on the back because it's going to applique. So this will be not raw. This is not going to be raw edged. All right, so there's my flower. We want to make sure we have about a 1/4 inch all the way around. This is why this is a great pattern to use. I plan to actually use this pattern in a different way later, probably this year. With those that have already bought the pattern, we're not going to make the blocks. We're actually just going to use these flowers here, and I'll show you. Let me grab one. This was in a demo. We're actually going to just make, let me grab them here. We're actually going to just make a quilt using the appliqued flower. So it will be a bunch of these blocks right here that we're going to sew together. So we're going to applique blocks onto just square pieces of fabric, and then we'll sew all those together, and we're going to just do kind of like this could be, you could do whatever you want. You could do different colors. I'm going to do like different colors, or you could do something a lot more organized, but we'll just make a bunch of these. So if you've got this pattern, later this year, I'm going to do a quilt along where everybody just takes their template and we just make flowers, and we're going to make a quilt out of that. So we're going to kind of reuse the pattern in a slightly different way. And I'm going to do that at some point this year. I'm not exactly sure when, but that's the plan. All right. Okay, so these are magnets. This is the So Tight's rotating magnetic cutting mat, and oh, I love this thing because of all the stuff that I'm doing between hexies and making your own leave-in stabilizer, and then this pattern in particular. You just turn over here with my finger. I'm just turning, just holding my pen kind of there in one place, and as I turn, because I trace the template onto cardstock, so you cut the template out because you download it, cut it out, and then you trace it onto cardstock. You've got a little bit of a lip here, and with that lip, it makes it easier to just, for your I use the Clover water-soluble pen or marker. It makes it easier to go around. Like that. Ta-da! And where's my pins? So let's pin it twice on here. And then what I'll do is I'll take this to my machine, and let me zoom in so y'all can see. There you go. You can see how I traced it. You can see there. So I'll take all of these to the machine, and you're going to stitch all the way, well, actually I say you're going to stitch. I'm going to, good grief, Belle. I have to look at the pattern to double check myself. Yeah, you're going to stitch on the line. Yeah, so took me a second here. I was like, whoa, brain freeze. You're going to stitch on the line here, and then you're going to cut and leave a 1/4 inch when you cut it out on here. That kind of freaked me out for a second there. I was like, oh, I'm forgetting my own pattern. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and do all of these right now on here. So I'm just gonna grab, let's see, right sides together. This one, I didn't cut perfectly the stabilizer, but let's just make sure there's enough on there to make sure there's a 1/4 inch on all sides of it. And then I'll use the magnets, which again, these are so handy. Oh, Susan. Susan, you're my first member. Oh my gosh. Yay. So I set up like member levels. There's 2 member levels, and there's special things that you'll get. You can kind of go in there and read. So Susan probably knows how to do all of this stuff on YouTube. But there will be times where, for example, when I have my fabric line that is released, I'll have like a special live that only those that pay will get to see it first. So there'll be some special things like that, or behind the scenes of maybe getting to show you some sneak peeks of a print of a collection that's not going to come out for months later. Things like that you'll be able to be part of for that. And so it's like, I think it's like $1.99 a month. I'd have to go back and look and double check it. I think it's $1.99 for one of them, and then the next level I think is $4.99 a month. So anyway, Susan's our first thread master. Thank you, Susan. All of a sudden everything turned green. I'm like, what just happened? There's a star. So thank you, Susan. I appreciate you so much. Yay! That's exciting. So anyway, that's kind of like how you can set it up to have levels of special things that you get. And then things happen, like you can send like emojis and all kinds of fun stuff too. Like you have access to all that. So you guys will see, yeah, okay, $2.99 or $4.99. Quilt Husband's posting that in there. So anyway, you don't need to feel pressure to do that, but some people do to kind of help support those of us doing our channels, of kind of spending time in there. So thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate that. That's super sweet of you. And then it announces. So I didn't think that would happen this soon. On, what is this, number 9? I think this is my 8th or 9th live. That was fun. That was a cool thing to have happen today. So anyway, we'll just make this go around. Susan, you'll have to like try all the things. I think you're supposed to be able to do other little special things on there too. And I apologize. I'm just kind of learning how all that works. Like when I first set this live stuff up, they let me come up with fun names. So Threadmaster is one. And I'll have to look. You know what? Let me just look here on my phone and see while y'all are here, so I can remember. Okay, we've got memberships. So we've got Thread Sprout. So Thread Sprout is the $2.99 one. You get loyalty badges, you get to use emojis, and also there'll be member shout outs that happen. Oh, look, he said, my pleasure, Belle and Quilt Husband, because he's helping too. And then there's Threadmaster. So that's what Susan joined, and that's $4.99 a month. And it gets all those perks I mentioned before, plus early access to new videos. So there will be times where I have videos that only those members get access to, and member-only videos. So for example, my fabric collections. As things happen more with my fabric collections, then those people will be privy to get to see those things. Some will be exclusive. Some will be, they get to see it first before others do. So anyway, thank you, thank you, thank you. Especially with, you know, I know money's kind of tight for people with the economy and all right now. So that's really super sweet. Thank you, Susan. Okay, so we've got that one done. Let's do 2 more. And we'll see. I don't know, Quilt Husband, is my microphone gonna like beep at me or something to tell me when it's going, like, gonna go dead? This will be a first, y'all. We'll have to see how long the microphone lasts. I thought, well, I'll at least try to get a couple of these flowers done, or at least one. so you can see it. If it gets to where y'all can't hear me anymore, I think this microphone above me picks up. So we might have to use that to wrap it up if that does happen. All the things, right? Learning all the things. I have a whole new appreciation for YouTubers. I really do. For those that do live streams, I had no idea, like, the work that's involved. Like, it's work. It's like a job, right? I'm like, okay, I see why they have membership levels where people can pay, right? Because all this is kind of for free right now. Okay, so we're gonna pin that one. I got one more to go, and then we'll go stitch these on the machine. And I'm actually going to, no, I'll leave my stitch plate like it is. I can swap out my stitch plate to the one with, I call it the jelly bean plate for doing zigzag stitches and stuff. Or right now I have the straight stitch in there, and I was thinking for a second, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be appliquing these on there, so I don't need to swap that out. Okay, make sure we've got 1/4 inch there, at least. Put the magnets on. It may vibrate or beep or may just cut off, folks. Okay, well, we'll just see how long Belle's microphone will last. I was going to tell y'all, so since y'all are like YouTubers as far as viewers, I do lives on Sewing Machines Plus. So it's basically like QVC for quilters. And I don't know if you've ever watched Blaine's stuff, but I'm going to be doing some lives where I teach some classes there for him. I think they're going to start in July. I've got to decide for sure what projects I'm going to teach, and then some may have kits that you can buy from Blaine. I'm not sure yet because all this just kind of came down the pike this last week. I've got to review all the information. But anyway, he's going to have that. He has a lot of fun programs and teachers and stuff there, so y'all might want to give him a follow if you've not followed that. He has really good deals too on sewing machines. My King Quilter came from there, and then my Juki came from there too. Okay, I'm gonna take these over to the sewing machine, and we're gonna go ahead and sew these down. So let's swap out my foot here. Look at all these. These are all of the feet that came with this Juki here, and I have not used them all. I used these 2 feet right here mainly. And then my zipper foot, I have used that a little bit. This is the extra plate, so it comes with, I call it the jelly bean plate for the zigzag and decorative stitches. And then that also has its own feed dogs. So these feed dogs pop out. There's the straight stitch feed dogs that fit that plate. And then there's these feed dogs that fit this plate. And then it's got an electric button holder. It plugs in to the machine, which I haven't even used yet. So it's kind of fancy. But like I said, sometimes it can get a little finicky. I've got to figure out what's going on with those, dual feed, because it's kind of clanking. I'm probably doing something wrong. All right, so what we're gonna do on this one is just stitch on the line that I've drawn. And when you do this, I use a knee lift. That way I can kind of keep my hand on here, and you just kind of pivot. So I'll use the knee lift and just kind of slowly turn it. I try to make it where it's smooth, the curves are smooth, so they're not like jaggedy. So, you know, when you turn it right side out, it's a smooth curve. It can be a little tricky to do that, but I notice the more I do it, the better I get at it. Oh, you ordered your Juki, Jennifer? Yay! Did you get it from Sewing Machines Plus, or did you get it from your local dealer? You're gonna love it. You know, I've got mine right next to this one. The thing is we don't have the, this is where we keep kind of the camera equipment set up. But there will be times, like if I'm making a tote bag or something, we'll have to move the camera equipment over there. That machine, I've actually not done a lot of anything thick through this one yet. I'm sure it does just fine, but I tend to use that one for thicker things because it's semi-industrial. You're gonna love it. It's a workhorse for sure. Okay, so here's a little trick I learned that I actually did not put in the pattern because I've kind of learned it later. Typically in the pattern when you do this, I tell you to just pivot right here, so turn it and pivot. Actually take one stitch, so one stitch, then pivot. That actually makes it, when you turn these flowers right side out, the corners in there fold out just a little bit better. And I would like to say that it just smoothly, completely turns, but because this has got a little bit of a texture, it's not the glue, but it still has some texture, I have to just kind of lift that presser foot up. So I know it could be a little annoying if you're having to do that back here with your hand. That's why I love my knee lift. I am a knee lift girl. Honestly, if I had to tell, I think I mentioned it to you, Jennifer, if I had to tell someone that knew they were going to be sewing like regularly, I would say, and they said, and I've told people before, what sewing machine should I get? As long as you're not one that's going to be wanting to do like lots of decorative stitches and all that kind of stuff, you're really wanting one for piecing or straight line quilting, you cannot go wrong with the Juki TL. The 2010, there's several versions in the TL line. You can't go wrong with any of those. They are just really, really good machines. I've never had mine break. I don't have any trouble with it. And you'll find there's a lot of quilters, especially, I see it more often because I'm heavily involved in the Instagram quilting community. You just see that machine all the time with quilters. That's mainly what they use it for, is piecing. It's just a really reputable machine. I mean, I drive a Toyota. I'm a fan of Japanese-made machinery because I've just found that it's really well made. My car is actually from the Kentucky Toyota manufacturing plant here. You can look at your serial number to see where they were made, and mine actually was the first one that was made for the year model out of that plant. It's an Avalon, a Toyota Avalon. It's a 2017. I've got like 90,000 miles on it, and it'll go, you know, to like 280,000 if you take good care of it. So anyway, that's my soapbox in a good way for Juki Japanese made stuff. Got to get used to the knee lift, Angela. I just use my start stop button on machines. Yeah, see, I've got mine right here, the start stop, and I have to use it for my teaching machine. I have a Janome, and I have to use it for that, or I also take that machine to retreats that I go to just enjoy myself. But the knee lift, I use my knee lift on my TL and on this one, and I do it because I like to have my hands free so I can turn things. I don't like having to constantly, you know, go back and lift my presser foot up, but it's not a big deal just to sit here and press the buttons. It's not. But when you want to have like both hands free, like right now, I can keep my hands on it and turn it. And I just got, I don't know if y'all noticed, but my acrylic insert here, this is new since my last live with this machine. It takes about 3 weeks for Sew Steady. They can make these inserts if you have a cabinet, or even if you have like an old desk and you cut out the hole for your machine. If you tell them the measurements of your machine and the measurements of your cutout, they can custom make you an insert so you can sew flush. Now, for the first 3 years of my quilting, until I got my Eleanor table, which that's what my Juki's in, it's in the Eleanor Arrow sewing table. That was my first time to have a drop down, a table for that where your machine can drop down in there. And oh my goodness, for stuff not to sew off like the edge, or stuff not to be hanging off the edge of your arm, it's just a whole new world. I was like, oh my goodness. And I've always used a tray, or the extension tray. Aw, man, I just broke a fingernail. I've always used the extension tray. I hate that. I'll tell you one little weird thing about me is if I break a fingernail, then I have to cut them all down because it drives me absolutely nuts. It's kind of weird. Okay, maybe it just chipped the polish. I can't stand for my fingernails to be uneven. The other thing is I cannot go to sleep without taking a bath or shower. Like, I have to. The only time that is not the case is if I'm really, 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 really sick, or like after I had surgery and I was in bed for a couple days before I was allowed to shower. But anyway, those are just little weird things about Belle. Can't stand for my fingernails to be uneven, and I have to take a shower or a bath every night. And I don't wash my hair every day either, y'all. I wash my hair every 3 days. When you have naturally curly hair, yeah, it does not work well to wash your hair every day. So that means more sleep, more time to sew. Okay, so there we go. I have just literally stitched all the way around that, and then I'm gonna get my scissors in a minute, and we're gonna cut a 1/4 inch around all of this here. So I'll just set that to the side for now. Let's see here what we got. The only companies are Lot, and some don't have the foot pedal. Okay, what are you saying now, Jennifer? That's what I keep hearing. The only companies, the complaints are the light, and some don't like the foot pedal. Oh, of the Juki? Well, I do have an extra light on mine, but I also have a daylight. I have daylight lamps that are like, they're floor lamps, and they're kind of slender that fit kind of over the table that don't get in your way. I do have that, but I also do have an LED on there. It's the Vivilux. I can't really take the camera over there, but it is the Vivilux. And I do have that. It runs along kind of the edge there. Let me show you another one. Let me go grab, I've got one that was given to me. Let me go grab it really quick. I've got one that was given to me when I was at QuiltCon. And I think the guy's name is on here. He gave it to me to test out, and you can wear it around your neck or you can put it on your machine. Okay, Quilt Husband said I got 4% left on this camera, y'all. So we're gonna have to wrap it up. So this is it, and it's got the sticky here where this will stick. So this either can be on your shirt, you can wear it to do like handwork, or you take this off and this will stick to the back of your machine. And then it's got the light that you've got 2 lights. One plugs in here, and ooh, that's bright. And then another one plugs in here. So when you put them back here, you can put it wherever you want. You could put it, let's see, how did he show me? I think he showed it from the back side. And these kind of twist around. I have not tried this out. So full disclosure, I have not tried this out at all. But you can get these kind of lights. If you find that you need more, Jennifer, you can add that to there. Okay, I'm gonna show y'all really quick because this camera has got like 4% left. So I'm gonna come on over to the overhead here really quick, and I'm gonna cut this out with y'all. And then I'm gonna have to wrap up because we are getting to the end of the juice we've got on here. So how long have we been going? 3 hours and 15 minutes. We're gonna have to figure that one out. So I'm just cutting a 1/4 inch here all the way around. And that's what I'll do for each one of these. And I'm gonna take them like this to Chicago. And then the part I'm demoing is actually the turning these right side out and fusing them. How you have to fold them in half. The hexie flower center, and these, you fold them in half both ways and then turn them right side out, and then we're gonna fuse them. So that's actually what I'm doing in the demo for that. So that's what we will do with this here. Let's see, okay. And then on the foot pedal, I have the little rubber stopper on the foot pedal so that the cutter doesn't work, the thread cutter doesn't work on mine. So I just use that rubber stopper that they create for that so that that feature doesn't work, and no problem. You had to buy supplemental lighting for yours too. Okay, which light do you have, Lisa? The one I just showed? That one? Oh, what's the guy's name? Okay, let me tell y'all. It is, let's see here. Sewlite. It's called Sewlite, Sewlite. It's the XTV Versa. XTV Versa. And like I said, you can either wear it around your neck or you could put it on your machine. So, and it's like you can charge it. It's rechargeable and it's got the 2 lights on it. And anyway, he gave this to me. He's like, try it and see if you like it. Because, you know, I've told people, I'm like, listen, I'll try stuff, but I'm not going to recommend it to people until I know, you know, how I feel about it. So I have not used that yet. I just wanted to show you. He did send that with me. And I really don't need the light on that machine, so I kind of was saving it to do handwork with. And I can tell you, just clipping it to my shirt, the light is plenty bright, and we actually are probably going to take it with us when we go camping. So I don't think I'm going to put it on this new machine because I have really good lighting on mine. But it might be something you want to try. I'll have to look and see, Jennifer, if it's something that looks like it will fit well over on my Juki, and see if that will work. So there we go. There's that. And then you just snip all the way down. You cut to the thread, but not through the thread on all of these corners down here, like this. And you're gonna make 1 slit right here. And then you'll turn this right side out. So this will be coming right side out, and you'll smooth it all where it looks really nice. And then you've got that flower that I showed you all. Quilt husband, will you bring me that block with the flower on it? So when you turn this right side out, then it's gonna look like this, like that. And you can see there's a few that I kind of, either I didn't use my point turner and fold this out enough, which that actually, these were a demo. This was me doing a demo somewhere, and so I didn't use my point turner and push those out all the way. So make sure you push all those out so they're nice and round. This was doing a demo on just showing how to applicate these, so I was kind of not so much worried about that. But anyway, that's what that was. The sound went off my mic that's on here. So thank you for telling me. We now know how long that lasts. It lasts for 3 hours and 22 minutes. But he's hooked me up to this mic up here for this one. So can you hear me now to kind of close up for today? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. Yeah, okay. Good. Okay. Well, hey, we got a bike. So now I've got a backup mic just in case. It's just if I move from right here, you wouldn't be able to hear me very well back there. But that camera's getting ready to go dead too. So it shut off. Oh, well, it shut off. So you guys ran an experiment with me. We now know how long I can go with. Oh, you got to see Quilt husband. He's funny. Now we know how long my mic lasts and that camera lasts. And did we have those fully charged?
I don't think the microphone was totally charged.
Okay. It was not 100% charged on the mic. So anyway.
It was charged.
But this camera was back here. So now we know I can't really go longer than probably 3 hours on the live. So you guys are so sweet for staying with me this long. And Susan, thank you so much for becoming a Thread Master member. That's so exciting. Oh, Susan said they saw you. You see his little ball head just kind of go through really quickly, right? Okay. Well, friends, thank you for being with me for Stitchin Saturday. It was really fun here, and I'm glad that you hung out and had a little bit of fun. There he is, the monkey face in there. And I'm glad, thank you so much, Trish. I'm glad you loved the show. You know, it's like, you never know how people are going to feel just like hanging out with you while it's kind of informal like this. So I'm still kind of experimenting to be like, are enough people going to want to hang out with me? But it looks like we've had 224 that have popped on and off. So that's been good. And then concurrent viewers, it looks like 26 of you have kind of stayed on. So that's good at one time. So anyway, thank you guys so much for being here on Thread Life with Belle. I'm going to finish getting ready for H&H Americas and the trade show. And I'm going to try to do a live on this coming week while I'm there. Now, the live more than likely will be on Wednesday or Thursday. If I do it, probably Thursday after I get my bearings of where everything is, I'll attempt it. It'll be from my phone, and I'll have my phone on a holder. So you're going to be seeing not this setup here at all, but maybe you'll get to see a little bit behind the scenes of H&H Americas, a trade show that's not open to the public. So I definitely will try to do that. Trish, you're definitely picky on how you spend your time on YouTube. Well, I feel honored you were willing to hang out with me. Tell me what made you want to stay. That's helpful feedback to know what makes you want to stay, you know, or what makes people go, because I definitely don't want to be annoying to people. Oh, Susan, thank you. You like informal lives since you're a lone quilter. Okay, you know, I have heard a lot of people say that. You know, my friend that I was telling you that does the 7 o'clock, she does 7 to 8 in the morning, and she has like 800 to 900 subscribers that just drink their coffee with her while she's just, I mean, just simple stuff. I'm like, wow, these people are staying on for a full hour while it's just kind of informal stuff. So I was like, I guess there's some tribe. I've got a tribe out there just waiting to find me and me to find them to do this stuff together. So it is fun because this can be isolating. I'm an extrovert and I love people. So I know it's a way for me to also be able to interact with the quilty community and at the same time maybe make a little money on the side doing it too. So big hugs from Arkansas. Thank you for being with me here on Thread Life with Belle. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekends, y'all. And I will try to come to you live from Chicago at H&H Americas. Otherwise, I'll plan to be back here next Monday, and I'm going to do the milk glass pincushion tutorial, but you can use other things besides the milk glass dish to make a pincushion. So that's the plan next. And I'll get that thumbnail ready for you guys on here so you can, once that's there, you can hit the bell and it'll alert you when Belle goes live. Okay, quilty friends. Well, thanks so much for being with me. And until next time, quilty friends, make lovely things. Bye, y'all.